Welcome, everyone. Thank you for your patience as we start today's meeting. I will go ahead and take this meeting to order at 6:10. Again, thank you, everyone, for joining us. Today is the Joint City Council, City of Soledad Joint City Council Successor Agency Housing Authority and Successor Housing Agency regular meeting of Wednesday, June 5th. 2024. So again, thank you for those that are joining us here in our chambers and those that are joining us out in Zoom. Your participation to the civic engagement and for our public participation process is really critical. So thank you for joining us. Just before we begin, just a couple of options in terms of how you as a public can participate tonight. You can join the meeting via Zoom. The meeting ID is located on the agenda for today. And that meeting ID is 840-3526-3168. You can also join via telephone, which is the number is 1-669-900-6833. And as you know, for several, I think it's been a month now that our meetings are streamed live on the YouTube channel. So this is more efficient as for technology purposes. But just as a note that any comments you make will not be recorded there. We have to call in to be part of the Zoom meeting to have your comments recorded. And this meeting is also being translated. We also have a Spanish translator for tonight's meeting. So just thank you for that. So with that, we will. I will ask our city clerk if we can get roll call, please.
Mayor Ana Velasquez.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Maria Corlejo. Councilmember Fernando Cabrera.
Here.
Councilmember Fernando Ansaldo Sanchez.
Here.
Okay, there's a form.
Okay, awesome. So we will continue with our next portion of our agenda, and we're excited to be able to administer the oath of office to our incoming appointed council member, Mrs. Evarista Bañuelos. Our chambers are full today, and there is more individuals also joining us, residents joining us online. Just want to make sure that I explain a little bit of the process after we administer the oath of office. Then our councilwoman will be able to share a few words, and then we're going to pause for a few minutes to take some photos, and then we'll reconvene with the meeting. Okay. So with that, then we will go ahead and administer the oath of office. And I apologize, but I have the honor to be able to administer the oath of office for Emma. Thank you so much. Okay, so if you can please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Evarista Bañuelos,
I, Evarista Bañuelos,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the Constitution
to the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of California,
of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well
and that I will well
and faithfully
and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Yay! So at this time, I know I have to sign this.
Love you guys. Someone like my sister.
So at this time, while she signs, I just wanna share just a few words, and I know she's gonna share, Councilwoman Bañuelos will share a few words, and I just wanna say it's my honor to be able to administer the oath of office, and I've known Councilwoman Banuelos now for many, many years, and as many of you know, she's been really instrumental and has contributed to a lot of the success that we see in the city of Soledad, and has really given a lot of her time and energy to really make Soledad who it is and to really invest. So we're really excited to be able to have her on board as part of the council. So with that, I will turn it over to Councilwoman Banuelos.
First of all, I want to thank God for just allowing me to have this door open for serving the community and continue to serve the community. I want to say thank you to my family, my church family, my work family, and just all the support that has been pouring out. And it's just not me, it's all of us coming together and working through any challenges that we may face. But again, I just want to thank God for opening that door, and I'm going to be that vessel He wants me to be.
So with that, we're gonna pause for a minute and then we're gonna take some photos, so allow you to take some photos. So we'll take a 5-minute pause and then we'll come back.
Those of you who are on Zoom, I want to say thank you guys. Mwah, mwah. Thank you for supporting. I know you guys, some of you guys are back east, Sister Ruby, Pastor Wells. Thank you. So thank you so much for joining Zoom as well.
Yes.
¿Qué? ¿Qué pasa?
So thank you, everyone. Thank you for your patience as we just administer the oath of office to our incoming councilwoman, Evarista Bañuelos. So we welcome her. And so now we will continue with the rest of our meeting. And we have before we go into public comments, we do have a change in the agenda, the order of the agenda. If we can take council presentations before public comments on closed session items. Do we need a vote on that?
Mayor, just to add, in the council presentations, I did want to add another proclamation for Pride Month.
Okay, so we will move the order then after the oath of office, we'll go into the council presentations, and we're also adding a third presentation and celebration of Pride Month on June. Okay, so we will move on then to
Real
council
quick,
presentations.
do we have to vote on that? On the modification of the agenda?
No,
Okay.
as, we're just reorganizing items, and so, the chair has the ability to do that without vote, although it probably should be a vote on the proclamation that we're adding right now.
Okay.
Okay, so if we need a vote then on the proclamation that's added, the third proclamation, which was already approved. It's just to add it on our agenda for today. And that's a presentation of the proclamation, designating June as Pride Month. So if I can please get a roll call. Or all in favor, say aye. I don't think we need a roll call vote. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so motion carries. So we will add that to our council presentations. So thank you. So we'll move on then to council presentation. We'll begin with a proclamation of the City Council of the City of Soledad recognizing May 2024 as National Bike Week. And I will read the presentation for that. Councilmember. Okay, so this is a proclamation of the City Council of the City of Soledad proclaiming June 3rd as World Bike Day. Whereas a humble bicycle has long been an emblem of freedom, health, and sustainability. And whereas cycling promotes physical fitness, mental well-being, and a sense of community among riders. And whereas a bicycle is an economical, healthy, convenient, and environmentally, sorry, I can't speak today, sound form of transportation and an excellent tool for recreation and enjoyment of the City of Soledad scenic beauty. And whereas bicycling has been shown to improve residents' health, well-being, and quality of life, grow the economy, improve traffic safety, support student learning outcomes, and reduce pollution, congestion, and wear and tear on our streets and roads. And whereas the joy of cycling enriches lives, connecting individuals to nature, culture, and the world around them and helps foster a sense of community through such events as Ciclovia. And as whereas the Monterey County Health Department has been a champion in helping spread various means of active transportation in the city of Soledad through community engagement efforts such as the Safe Routes to School Initiative and the South County Ciclovias. Now therefore, the City Council of the City of Soledad does hereby proclaim June 3rd, 2024 as a World Bicycle Day in the City of Soledad. All community members are encouraged to go out and ride your bikes. Make sure you're wearing a helmet though, and make Soledad a more bike-friendly city. So with this, I'm not sure if we have anyone from the Monterey County Health Department. Okay, so we just want to say thank you. Thank you to Monterey County Health Department for all of the support and making Soledad just a more inclusive city that really includes other forms of transportation. So we are excited about the Safe Routes to School, and I love bicycles. I have to say, you know, I did a 50-mile bike ride at one point in my life, and it was amazing to be able to get out there and ride your bike. So I'm looking forward to doing that again. So thank you. So with that, then we'll move on to our next proclamation, and it's a proclamation of the City Council of the City of Soledad declaring June 9th, 2024 as Dia de los Niños, and I will turn this over to Councilmember Cabrera to be able.
Privilege really fast. Can we just move the podium back in case we have speakers that would like to speak during the presentation?
Yes, we can do that.
Yeah, I didn't do it because I thought you guys were going to take another second.
Oh, we are.
Yes.
But I
So-
think someone's gonna maybe want to speak.
Yeah, so what we're gonna do, council, just for clarification on the proclamations, is because we have a lot of information also to discuss today, is we'll do what we did last time. We'll go through all the proclamations, and then we'll, I'll ask the council if there's any final comments or any comments they want to make on all three. And then what we'll do is, pause for a photo op, and then we'll come back to the dais.
Just one information, we need that pledge of allegiance.
We can do the pledge after we come back from
Mhm.
those.
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect.
So because we changed the modes on the agenda.
Yes, so a proclamation of the city council of the city of Soledad proclaiming June 9th, 2024 as Dia del Niño. Yay. Whereas children are the future of our communities, embodying hope, creativity, and resilience. And whereas Dia del Niño is celebrated on June 9th in the United States as a way of recognizing the importance of children in our communities and our city's commitment to investing in their well-being. And whereas in following the 2024 theme for every child, every right, the city of Soledad is committed to finding key partners that will help us give children in our city what they need to thrive. And whereas First Five of Monterey County has worked with many municipalities, including the city of Soledad, to advocate for service to meet the needs of children and families. And whereas on this Dia del Niño, we remind ourselves that children are not just the future, but an integral part of our present, deserving respect, dignity, and the freedom to express themselves. Now, therefore, the city of Soledad, the City Council of the City of Soledad hereby proclaim June 9, 2024 as the Dia del Niño in Soledad City. We encourage all residents to honor and celebrate the wonder of childhood, and we pledge our efforts towards building a world where every child can thrive and shine bright. Thank you. Is anybody?
I don't think anybody's
No?
here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, but we have somebody that just moved from childhood to.
So we could, yeah, so if, we'll do the photo set.
Oh, yes.
And then I will turn it over now to Councilmember Ansaldo Sanchez for our third presentation or proclamation, declaring June as Pride Month.
Thank you. Alrighty, so whereas throughout history, LGBTQ+ individuals have contributed immeasurably to the richness and diversity of our communities, enriching our culture with their talents, passions, and resilience. And whereas the fight for equality and acceptance for LGBTQ+ individuals has been ongoing, marked by courageous advocacy and a commitment to justice. And whereas LGBTQ+ Pride Month is a time to celebrate the progress made in advancing LGBTQ plus individuals, honoring their struggles and triumphs, recognizing their right to live authentically and without fear of discrimination or persecution. And whereas the city of Soledad is proud to be the first and only city in South Monterey County to raise the pride flag at City Hall as a testament to our commitment to creating a city where everyone belongs. And whereas as a city, we understand the importance of organizations such as the Epicenter, which work to empower people and provide them with resources like housing, education, employment, and mental, physical health and wellness. Now, therefore, let it be proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Soledad hereby proclaims the month of June as LGBTQ plus Pride Month and calls upon the people of the city to join us in celebrating our LGBTQ plus community, promoting equality and acceptance, and continuing the fight against discrimination and injustice. And I believe we do have somebody here from the Epicenter. We have the Deputy Director, Sam Gomez, if you'd like to say a few words.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Sam Gomez. My pronouns are they, them, theirs, and I'm the Deputy Director at the Epicenter, a drop-in resource center for youth in Monterey County. We serve all Monterey County, including South County as well. We're very excited to receive this resolution honoring June as Pride Month. And as we all may know, it is very important, especially for our LGBTQ plus identified youth, that we show this solidarity, we show this inclusivity, and we show the support. And so I do want to, on behalf of the Epicenter, thank the City of Soledad and everybody who made this happen. And thank you so much for standing strong in love and acceptance and inclusivity. Thank you.
Okay, with that, council, let me just open it up before we take our photo op. If there's any final comments that any of the council members wish to make, and I will start with Council Member Gaviria.
No comments.
Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes, I just want to again thank the City of Soledad for raising the pride flag on Monday and for having a proclamation recognizing June as Pride Month. I hope that we continue to do this in the future. And I do want to make a note that yes, we know that there is now a new pride flag that includes the intersex folks, and we hopefully will have that updated next year. And thank you so much.
Councilwoman Banuelos?
Yes, I just want to recognize, National Bike Month in June, in May. I'm just excited for that because, exercises is crucial with our bodies. And I'm very happy that May is going to be Bike Month, and also the proclamation for Dia de los Niños, that is our generation growing up. And also Pride Month, honoring and supporting those. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And for me, the same. I just want to make sure that as we're talking about inclusivity, I think the city and the city council has really taken that to heart and really understood that inclusivity means all. And I'm glad that we're, doing the recognitions to recognize and proclaim our children for Dia de los Niños, but also at the same time, that inclusivity piece that also comes with all of our LGBTQ plus family members and community and friends. And so I think it's really important. I know we've had a long discussion about, our mission statement and what we want to live by. And I think that inclusivity and making sure that we are respectful and we honor everyone's background regardless, that is really critical. So just want to say thank you and congratulations, and thank you to the Epicenter, and thank you, Sam, also for all the work that you've done to really make sure that all of the cities really embody that spirit of inclusivity. So we really appreciate your service and your commitment. So with that, we will pause for a few minutes and then we'll come back and we'll take a photo, and then we'll go into we'll do the public comment for our closed session, and then we'll go into the closed session and we'll come back for the public portion of the meeting. Thank you again for your patience and flexibility. So we will now move on to our public comments on closed session items. So at this time, any member of the public may address the council on closed session items appearing on the agenda. Speakers shall have a limit of 3 minutes, so please be brief and to the point. Today, we do have 2 items on the agenda. The City Council of the City of Soledad will recess to closed session to meet with its designated representatives regarding labor relation matters pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. The employer organizations are the Soledad Police Officers Association, SEIU Local 521 General Unit, and SEIU Local 521 Mid Management Unit, and underrepresented employees. Item number 2 is the City Council will recess to closed session to consider personnel matters pursuant to the Government Code Section 54957B1, City Manager Evaluation. So do we have any public comments on the closed session items for today? And anyone that's here in our chambers? Okay, seeing none, then anyone that is joining us via Zoom. And I can't see. There's none. Okay, seeing none, we will close the public comment portion. And we will move on to closed session. So at this time, we will go to closed session. We'll come back by 7. Or we'll come back hopefully by 7. We'll try to be back by 7 for the open public portion of our meeting. Thank you. Okay, thank you everyone for your patience again, as we're running a little bit later than usual. Thank you so much for accommodating. So we will move in. So we're reconvening from closed session, and I will turn it over to our city attorney for a report out on the two items.
Yes, with respect to item one, which is the labor negotiations matter, the council briefly met with their labor negotiator who gave a progress and status report on the negotiations with the two represented groups, and no other reportable action was taken. And for item number two, the council met to discuss the city manager evaluation process and procedures, gave direction to legal counsel, and no other reportable action was taken.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move to our next item on our agenda, which is Pledge of Allegiance. So if you can all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. And if we can have Canoe, our Economic Development Director, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance today.
Thank you. Okay, ready, salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to additions and modifications of the agenda. And at this time, I would like to make an addition, or modification, sorry, to the agenda. Because we do have, want to make sure that we are being, just diligent about having our public here for the consent agenda items. If we can move those ahead of our council presentations. And so council, if we're okay with that, we don't need a vote on that, no. So we're okay with that. I'd like to move forward with having the
We're
consent
skipping
agenda.
Straight to the consent right now.
So we do the consent agenda now, and then we go back to our presentations. Okay, so with that, I have to open it up to public comments. So we will move on to our next item, which is public comment. So at this time, any member of the public may address the city council on items not appearing on the agenda and items of interest to the public that are within the jurisdiction of the city council. The speakers do have 3 minutes. Please be brief and to the point. And just as a reminder, the council will not comment on items, but we can direct staff to further review and gather information and in keeping with accurate records and running an efficient and efficient completion of comment code that's not required for today. So, so at this time, do we have any members of the public that are joining us here in our dais, in our chambers that would like to make any comments? Okay, seeing none, then any comments from those that are joining us via Zoom?
I see none.
Okay. So seeing none, then we will close the public comment period. And we will move on to our consent agenda at this time. So just as a reminder, because I keep forgetting, do we have any written public comments that came in?
None came.
Okay, no written public comments. So we will move on to our consent agenda. And at this time, do any members of the public wish to pull an item from the consent calendar for discussion or comment? I see none here in the chambers. Do we have any on Zoom?
No.
Okay, seeing none, do any members of the council wish to pull an item? Today we have item C1 to C13 for comment or question. And I just have a quick for comment on pull item 11. And then item 12. Any other members of the council?
No.
Okay,
Mayor, I did want to get one piece of clarification from the city attorney regarding item 10. Which is the fireworks for the fireworks celebration. Would Councilmember Williams have to recuse herself as part of that committee on that vote?
she's on the committee.
She's actually on the committee. Yeah, I think that, even if there's just perception that there's a conflict, that it would be a good idea for her to step down. I'm not actually positive that there is a true legal conflict, but I just think it's a good idea and good practice.
So then,
Okay, so-
we'll pull C10 then?
Yeah, it will take that by separate votes.
okay, so we're pulling items C10, 11, and 12. So I'll entertain a motion to approve all the other consent items with the exception of items C10, 11, and 12.
So move.
My second.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so the motion carries. Okay, so we will take item 10 and we'll,
Recuse yourself if actually staff house.
we will have,
Just go into that.
Okay.
yeah, and then does she need to make a statement of why she's recusing herself?
You already announced the fact.
Okay, yeah,
okay.
Because she's on the committee, so.
Okay, perfect.
A lot of moving parts in that.
Yeah. But that's, okay, so then we will go ahead and, make a motion to approve resolution number 6096.
I move to approve resolution number 1696.
Second that.
They want to ask Pauline, had anything she wanted to say.
Okay, so we have a first and a second, and, so let me just finish the motion, and we'll come back. Okay, and all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So motion carries. And we do have Pauline Tomasini, who has been a big supporter of the 4th of July celebration and has been instrumental in bringing this forth year after year after year after year. So thank you, Pauline. I don't know if you have a few words you want to say. You don't have to, you don't have to, you don't have to.
You're approved. You're approved.
You are approved.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So then we will move on to item 11, and that's a resolution number 6097 of the Solidarity approving in-kind city services, waiving park fees and approving street closures of Front Street between West and East Street on the 3rd annual Solidarity Hot Summer Days. And so I just wanted to say, I wanted to pull this item just as a couple of comments for me. I think this is a great event and we want to make sure that we support our event, especially as it comes back to our youth violence prevention. But I did want to make just a formal kind of announcement in terms of, as this is the city is taking a greater partnership in this role, is really wanting to make sure that we do have looking at city council participation, getting an agenda of activities. And so to making sure that that does happen, so that way we know, we will obviously want to be supportive as well and want to make sure that there is inclusion also as part of that. And also just if we can also get, and not at this time, but probably once the event is over, just information on the revenues that are coming. And I know that we typically do have a report out, but just on terms of the revenues and the expenditures, and just for transparency reasons for our community also to understand, because the city is providing in-kind services, what are those in-kind costs of the in-kind services for the city, so we can make sure we track that as we are providing traffic control, maintenance and enforcement, and just so making sure that everybody does have an understanding in terms of the in-kind services we're providing, the costs and the revenue projections, and then how that money is being expended.
Chair, can I make a comment on this as well? Yeah, I agree with Mayor, and I also would like, maybe not because it's coming up soon, but in the future to maybe utilize this opportunity as well to survey folks informally and ask them for things that they'd like to see in the city. I think that'd be a good opportunity. I don't know if we're already doing that, we probably are, but yeah.
Okay, thank you. And then I'll move on to the next item. If there's no other comments on that, I'll move on to item 12, and this is resolution number 6096, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Soledad approving the garbage collection and disposal rates for fiscal year 2024-25 with an effective date of July 1st, 2024. So I know for me, I just want to make sure that I believe I had requested that this come forward to us just as a form of a business item. I know that typically the rate increases on the garbage collection are part of the CPI, but I just want to make sure our public has an understanding of when the rates are increased, that we as a city do have an opportunity to be able to allow for any kind of comments that may happen, given, some of the inflation that we've had and seen and some of the financial challenges, just wanting to make sure our residents are made aware, they do have an opportunity to comment if so desired. So just kind of wanted to, if we can get a quick brief on the rates increase.
I wasn't sure, did you want me to do the rate briefing or Mike, did you wanna?
So, good evening. This is the first year that's kind of come to finance. So, the rates are given to us by Tri-Cities, as you know. We really don't have a say. The rates come down. They're not like our rate studies that we do for our utilities, where we present a study and then we have the opportunity to evaluate those. We do have a representative online from Tri-Cities that can speak to us this evening regarding the rates that they're proposing. But this is a normal item that comes to all the cities that are served by Tri-Cities, asking for formal adoption of the rates that the Tri-City Board sets. So that it's gone through the public process with the Tri-Cities folks, and then it passes down to the cities that they serve. So it's more of a formality, but our representative online, if you'd like to hear from her, we can give her a few moments to talk about the process.
Yes, if I don't, let me see, I'm not sure if I'm not seeing the gallery.
Yeah, that's
Elliot.
Yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. Today's rates being proposed are the Tri-Cities fiscal year 24-25 rates that include a 2.37% CPI increase. And as the gentleman just mentioned, it is a contractual term per contract. Tri-Cities is entitled to a CPI adjustment. And that is what is included in the rates today, as well as the Salinas Valley Solid Waste Authority pass-through rates for the disposal. Well, not the disposal, I apologize. It's for the AB 939 diversion services. They do have a pass-through fees that have already been gone through the public hearing process at their board of directors meetings. And Tri-Cities collects those fees on behalf of Solid Waste Authority. But other than that is a straight CPI adjustment. I'm more than happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Elia, for providing information on that. I just wanted to make clear for transparency purposes, because I know many of our residents receive the bill from the City of Soledad. So a lot of times it's construed that the City of Soledad is the one that sets the rate. So I think it's just important to be able to make sure that our residents understand that this is part of the contractual obligation. As you said, the rate is adjusted 2.37, but that is based on the contract that the city has with Tri-Cities, and the city doesn't set those rates. I just wanted to make sure that that was clear for our residents. I don't know if any of the council have any questions on this item.
I have a question. So is that percentage increase in the full bill our residents get? Because for instance, if I get a bill of $135 per month, so if it is about 3% or 4% is about an increase of $5 or $6. So if my bill is consistently $135, will now be $140, $42?
No, the rate increase is only on the garbage
Okay.
portion of it.
Only
Only on the garbage.
Okay.
The water and sewer rates are set by the city, and those rates have already been adopted by the council.
All right.
Yeah, thank you for that, Councilman Cabrera. And I think that's a confusion with our bill because it does come from the city, and I think it's good that we do it, but I think because there's so many different components that are included, I think it gets confusing for our residents to understand what portion we have control over and which we don't. So thank you for that. I don't have any other questions. Thank you so much. I just wanted to make sure that our residents had the opportunity to hear that. Okay, so with that, then I will entertain a motion to approve item C11 and C11 and C12.
So moved.
I second.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so motion carries. Thank you. Okay, so now we will go back to our youth council. Yes. Yes, great, thank you. So we will have a report from our youth council, and they have a lot of exciting news to share with us today. Welcome.
Good evening, all members of the council. My name is Elio Chavez.
My name's Melissa Lam. My name's Leona Negrera.
We're guys the 2023-2024 youth commissioners for this cohort. Starting off with the youth summit, with some youth council updates. On May 10th, we had our last planning meeting with the other youth councils from Greenfield and Gonzalez. We used this meeting to set up the cafeteria, registration, and then to finalize the schedule for our summit.
Yeah, and on May 11th, we marked the very first South County Youth Summit. And with roughly 100 attendees, youth from Greenfield, Gonzalez, and Soledad became engaged and inspired. They participated in various workshops such as learning about financial literacy and how to prioritize their mental health throughout high school and beyond.
Additionally, we got to hear from the amazing Fabiola Moreno Ruelas. She's a philanthropist, Gonzalez alumnus, and also a current assembly fellow. Fabiola's speech had an everlasting effect on all of us. It really did. We're really grateful to have been able to hear from her personally, not only from her, but from some of our own alumni from Soledad, Laura Rivera and Brianna Harrell. Our goal is to ultimately graduate from college and then one day return, representing not only ourselves, but our city at future summits.
Ultimately, through the incredible organizations displayed at our resource fair and insightful conversations, we saw the spark lighting in all our participants. From the beginning to the end, we could see how motivated and engaged the students felt. We are incredibly grateful for this experience and would love to thank everyone who helped making this possible, such as you all, the Soledad Unified School District, the cities of Gonzalez and Greenfield, Michelle Slade, and all the partners involved.
Prior to the youth summit, we also did a few interviews. So on May 11th, both Melissa and Rodrigo were interviewed by Univision, and they gave really informative and insightful comments relating to the youth summit, like what it was about and the importance of the event. And then the following day, we were all interviewed by Monterey Weekly, Celia Jimenez, and we discussed the planning process of the youth summit, why we chose certain workshops, and again, the importance of events as such. And it was just a really great opportunity to work with these media professionals, and they did really well to promote the event.
So for our next steps of our time as youth commissioners, for the last part of our internship, we will launch a 7-week Youth Civics Academy.
The Academy's two goals are to recruit the next cohort of the youth council members and increase collaboration with city staff.
By using a youth participatory action research project model, we hope to identify issues in the community that youth care about and start formulating a policy for next school year. And that concludes our.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, thank you so much. Council, do we have any questions or comments?
Just a comment. Congratulations. That was an amazing event. Yes, thanks.
Yes, congratulations, and I hope to see continued engagement from our youth, and then hopefully to get to be our age, seeing you on the side.
Yeah, I'm excited, and I would like to, just be a support, and if you guys can keep me in tune, I would just love to see your guys's growth, and I see your hunger for being those citizens. So thank you.
Yeah, so I just want to say to Liliana, Rodrigo, and Melissa, thank you so much, because I know that through this effort, you learned how to work with, have a collaborative regional effort with the other cities. And so sometimes it's great, and sometimes there's challenges, right? And that you guys really took that leadership role to make sure that we had our first youth summit, and that, it was held here in Soledad, which was great because we were the host, but it really was that regional effort and collaboration. So thank you so much for all the work that you all did to put this together, and excited to see the Civics Academy, and especially getting more participation, and looking forward to see what the remainder of this year has in store, and what are some of the amazing, feedback that you receive from the youth, and what are some of those collective efforts that we'll be able to see you guys move forward in advocating for. So thank you so much again, and thank you for allowing me also the privilege and opportunity to be there with you and just share a few words. And you guys are amazing, and it's really exciting to see your growth, and looking forward to a great, couple of months coming up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll move on now to our presentations, and today we have 4 presentations. We'll begin with our Economic Development Coordinator, Ms. Cynthia Vargas, and Economic Development Consultant, Angel Johnston, who will give a brief presentation regarding the CDBG Business Assistance Loan Program.
Good evening, Council. My name is Cynthia Vargas. I am the Economic Development Coordinator for the city. And with me, I do have Angel Johnston. She is our Economic Development Consultant for us. Let me just set this up just a second. I think that our presentation actually is a great opportunity because we do have new members in our council. Welcome and congratulations, Eva and Fernando, for joining the council. And I want to take this opportunity. We want to take this opportunity to go ahead and give you information on our program. As you know, the city of Soledad does have an existing CDBG Business Assistance Loan Program, and that's what we're here to discuss. So just to give you an understanding of what is the objective and what is this program. I thought I did, I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, perfect, thank you, sorry about that. Just to give you a little bit of brief explanation, the primary objective of the CDBG Business Assistance Loan Program for Soledad, objective of this is to meet the capital needs of new and existing businesses located within the city of Soledad, with a focus on creating and maintaining jobs in our city. The CDBG loan program have made it possible to bridge the financial gap for our local businesses. And the program, just to give you an insight on a little bit of history of what it's done. Sorry, it's not looking.
And we do have that in our packet as well.
We do, okay.
Public business. Well, they have it, it's posted, yeah.
Printed it, she can.
There we go, sorry. So between 2020 and 2021, the city of Soledad received approximately $970,141 in CDBG and CDBG-CV funding. The funding allowed the city to assist the following local businesses: Premier Cinema, Plaza Garibaldi, The Windmill Restaurant, Positively Clean, Soledad Nails, Sandy's Hair and Nails, Stitch 'em Up Embroidery, and Choice Automotive and Diesel. All of this funding came from 3 separate business assistance programs and 3 separate grants. On the slide, if you see, the very first one allocated $500,000. The second one was $101,000 and $347,000, and the very last one was $368,794,000 that the city received to be able to sustain these programs. The new funding in late 2022, the city of Soledad approved for the city to apply for CDBG grant, economic development grant for business assistance loan. On July of 2023 of last year, the city was awarded $750,000. In March of 2024, we were able to issue, process and approve the first business loan in the amount of $245,000 to the new Ace hardware store that just recently opened. Although they were, just a little bit about that, Ace is, although they had an existing store for them to open, we assisted them by providing and allowing them to meet that gap.
So I'm gonna take over a little bit, and then if you have questions along the way, feel free to ask, as well as at the end if you have any questions. So Tensi and I kind of work hand in hand together. She's the face that they first see, and then I'm always available to come down and meet at any time, or to phone or Zoom or whatever works best for each business. So that's how we do it. When we apply for the grants that you as council directed to apply to, there's basically a set amount we are able to apply for, and the state sets up how those funds will be allocated. So there's 3 sections. There is the actual activity, the grant that we'll use to give loans to the businesses, and then there is a general administration, which the city of Soledad has chosen to keep in-house. Sometimes other cities choose to outsource it to a consultant or person that can help administer, but you have Tensia, so we keep it in-house, which is awesome, that you would keep that. And then the activity delivery is typically to the consultant or the entity that will be underwriting the loans, putting together the application a little more in depth, and packaging, processing, taking it to committee and processing the whole package. And then it comes back to the city once the loan is made and the check is cut, and then you guys monitor it for loan repayments and such. And so for lending terms, this is a question I get a lot when I speak with people in the community. How do you, I'm gonna go over this for a second, but how do you pick people? How do they know? How do they get on the list? How does this happen? Is this hidden money? You know, where do people find out? So basically what I love is that I don't live in the community. So what I've been doing this for 25 years in different communities throughout Monterey. And I like it because I don't have a bias towards anybody. It's a first come, first served basis. So as soon as I get an application on my desk, I'm reviewing it. As soon as the application is complete, then it can go to committee. And I've never had a problem with 2 applications complete at the same time and there's not funding. So it's just never been an issue. Usually you work with people decide to move forward. Some people also decide that their business isn't ready at this time. So it's a nice exercise. You don't always fund the business you're working with, but it teaches them a lot along the way, and maybe they're ready for funding at a later time also. But our lending terms are very flexible, especially in this interest rate right now, this climate we have. They're typically 3 to 15 years. They're typically 100%, and all of this is in our guidelines. So it's in the guidelines. There's no prepayment penalty. So if they want to pay it off early, that's fine. The maximum loan is right under 250,000. You can't go over, because then it becomes an over-the-counter different type of loan, then it would be a different grant. So it's not eligible. And the typical loans range around 35,000 to 105,000. The reason is, for every $35,000 that's borrowed, the business needs to create 1 new job. The whole purpose of this loan program, it is to help the businesses, but in the state's eyes, it's to create jobs. That's really what they want to see. So when they come to monitor, or they come to see, they want to know, have you met your job requirements? Have you completed all the paperwork necessary for that? So to them, you complete the paperwork, monitor the jobs, and they kind of close it out essentially. But in our eyes, we want to make sure they've used to legalize their funds and all of that, you know, so we care locally more about that, but they're looking at the job creation if that was completed. And we don't have any fees associated with them getting the loan. So we have the loan process.
So as Angel had discussed, there's a process in itself, and how do we go about processing all of these loans? So one of the very first things, and what's probably gonna happen is people will come into my office. I will go ahead and meet with them, discuss a proposed project. If at that time the application seems viable, I will go ahead and move on to step number 2. Just to give you a little bit of time, just an example, I can spend up to like 15 minutes to a half hour to even an hour with someone, getting to know, what are you looking for? What kind of assistance do you need? Okay, it's not financing, then let's go in another avenue. So I do have to spend a lot of time with clients. The second step would be to complete the application. So I do give them the application once I see, you know what, this is a viable project, possible process, then we can go ahead and push forward. So I do provide them the application, and then once it comes back, we do submit it to Angel Johnston. At that time, if the completed application is deemed viable, once she's done everything, then it will be reviewed by the loan review committee, which consists of 3 people, myself, Angel, and an outside source. Someone, again, she mentioned about not being biased. We need to be unbiased when we're reviewing all of these applications. And then the very last thing is upon approval, the loan documents are prepared and executed. The city staff, which would be me, will be assisted with the release of the funding to the business owner.
Angel? And the loan evaluation, in our first reviews, we had spoke about, the goal is to create or retain jobs. We try to go for job creation. It's very hard to show to the state a retention has been in place. It's almost impossible except in certain climates. So we always go for job creation. Our national objective is low, moderate income workers. So over 51% or more needs of the not owner, but of the people hired need to be low mod income. And that's set annually on HUD's website, what those requirements are per family and everything like that. We've never had a problem meeting eligibility in that area in the city of Soledad. Are the businesses creditworthy or what not? And what does that mean? We have a very low bar per state of what creditworthy is. Basically, if you don't have any like collections, any bad marks on your record, there isn't a set number that they need to hit. Just if they are financially, when we go over all of their business analysis, able to pay their bills and pay manage a loan payment and things like that. And a business plan will be put together that helps them. Is the market, do we need it in that area? And like I said, a lot of these exercises, it's a great program just for businesses in general, because a lot of them haven't thought of these things. You know, they just say, I have a great idea for a business, I need a loan and I want to do this. And that might not exactly be what they need at this time. So the exercises are good, and sometimes it does turn out to be a needed loan, which is great.
And then what can the funds be used for? That's one of the questions that people ask, and sometimes they don't understand. Oh, you're willing to lend me money. Can I do construct a new store? Can I do this? So it's very limited the way that the guidelines are set. And when we review an application, it basically comes down to 3 separate things: operating capital, furniture, fixtures, and equipment, purchase of manufacturing equipment. So basically, if you are let's say a new business, it's gonna be whatever is inside and your inventory and some business expenses. Those are set in the guidelines. That's all you can use it for. You cannot use it to construct, you cannot use it to buy property. That's out of the question. And as far as the additional documentation needed, I'll have Angel, because she's the one that looks at all of this.
And we list this out in the application also, but they have to provide a business plan that encompasses a lot of market analysis, long-term strategy, whatnot, what type of jobs they will be completing. So they actually list an idea. If it's going to be a checker at a grocery store, or it's going to be a stalker, you know, what is this person that you need so bad in your company to help move forward? Your financial statements for 3 years. I mean, have your credit report pulled. We've discussed that. Tax returns and a resume. The business license, definitely, if you're going to open a business in Soledad, you need to have a business license here. So we work well together that we can, you know, do our checks and balances to make sure everyone's ready to go. Collateral, typically collateral on these types of loans are what they're purchasing. So if you're purchasing your inventory and equipment, that will be your collateral that you will be using. Cost breakdown, what do you want to use the funds with? And copies of any agreement, the lease agreement, a purchase agreement. If you'd like a loan, where is your business located? And do you have the right to utilize it in that space?
And then once business loans are issued, staff, myself, will be responsible for managing and monitoring the repayment of each loan issued. So I do work really close with our finance department. I will be checking monthly to see where everybody's at. And then if there's an issue that needs to be addressed, I will be the one, me and my director will be the one addressing that. Moreover, the program is designed to establish a revolving loan account, thereby granting the city the vital capability to secure funding for future business assistance programs. So what it's doing is it's creating this revolving loan fund. So all the money that's being issued out and that's coming back to the city, the principal and the interest is going to be going into a specific fund to fund future loans, future businesses. So we are basically creating our own revolving loan account. So we don't have to, if we don't qualify, we can't, if we compete for another grant, we don't qualify for whatever reason, at least we have funding in us for the city. That concludes our presentation. We will go ahead and take any comments or questions.
Okay, thank you for that. It reminded me of my days when I worked for the city of Salinas with housing and economic development. Council, is there any questions or comments on the presentation or any participant questions on the presentations?
No. I do have one question. I'm just, worst case scenario, someone misses payment or is defaulting on payment. What's the process there?
So when we do have those situations, life happens, things happen. And if we do find ourselves, we do call them in, we act like the principal, we we make appointments. We hear the business owner, we hear them out, we evaluate their current financial situation. And one of the greatest things about this program is to work, it's flexible, as Angel mentioned. We can go ahead and either, if there's a situation like example, let's say someone is unable to make the minimum payment, but can pay $200 instead of the $300. We will make every effort to continue collecting the payment. And if there's a need to re-amortize, maybe extend it another year to another 2 years, we can go ahead and work something like that because we are the lender. It's not the bank, it's not another bank. So, and it's not private funding. So, but the whole thing is to ensure that they keep making the payments.
And for example, like during COVID, most of the cities that have the lending programs did a variety of things. But basically some froze the program and said after COVID, we didn't know at that time when COVID would end, but you know what I mean? We'll regroup when things are open and then we can start payments. So some were just stopped in some communities and then restarted. Some said they were able to keep making payments, but it's very flexible of what the businesses were able to do. The goal is to help the business, not hurt them, and be flexible and work with them. And as long as those jobs are being created and met, it's really the city's goal and to be a partner with them more. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I have just a follow-up question. So what happens when someone defaults? What is the repercussions? If the city's a lender, what happens?
That has never been done here in Soledad as of last month. Or we haven't had, we haven't dealt with that situation, but there are different steps then that you could take to recapture your yes. And for 25 years in this whole corridor I've been working in, and there is only one business that defaulted. It wasn't in Soledad, and it was a gentleman that was out of the community. So it wasn't like a resident, he just kind of plopped a business in. I do notice that people here are very committed to making the payments, and we haven't seen that as a problem yet,
And if somebody is, let's say they just close shop, then we will go ahead and we do have collateral. We do have that right to go after the collateral, the equipment, whatever, and we will try to recoup as much as we can. So
if they chose, they just didn't want to do the business or whatnot, yes. But as long as they are open and working, we want to try to work with them to be successful.
Yeah, thank you. So I don't have questions, but I just want to say thank you for this. And I know during COVID, obviously, it was really critical for the city to apply for these funds. So I know Tensi and the Economic Development Department did an amazing job in making sure that we secured the funding that was available came through the state to be able to ensure that the cities had the funding that we didn't have to be able to support our small businesses. So I just want to say thank you, because if not for that, then our businesses, at least some of the ones that continued to be open, would have not had that possibility. And I think when we look at job creation, it's really important because we want to be able to create those jobs, right? Especially when we're providing those loans and providing that economic boost for everyone, for our businesses, but also for our residents. I think what I would like to see is if we could have, because I know there's a lot of different grants, and I think it'd be easier for us as a council, but also for our residents. Just a one-page metrics or matrix that has all of the 3 different funding categories, that has a type of assistant loan or grant, amount that was awarded, how they utilize their funds, number of jobs created, not retained. I know you said not retained, but jobs created. And then also for us, and the annual repayment amount, and as this is being used for like a revolving loan, what is currently in our revolving loan category? And then what do we project to have on an annual basis? So that way, when I know we're going into our budget process shortly here, being able to look at that and you know, what are the projections of us that increasing in terms of that revolving loan amount?
I can work on that. That's not an issue. We can definitely work on that, and thank you. I would love to do that because it will give you an understanding of what we've done, who we served, how many jobs we created, and overall, how much money do we have coming in that we can potentially lend out. So it's something good that,
What do we have now?
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you so much. And I think it's important for our community, right? Because I think as a council, we want to make sure that our community and our residents understand too, that the city, as well as the council, has really invested in our businesses, and that we really have supported since COVID. But that we've had this partnership with the state as well, and that money is also really important, and continuing to have those opportunities to apply for those grants and receive them has been a benefit for our city and for the businesses and for our residents, right? They get to still continue to shop in those. Yeah.
And that, I mean, where are you gonna find a business, 1% interest, no prepayment,
Right.
fixed rate over, it just doesn't, you know, so it is, if the cities are able to get some of that, is wonderful for the businesses.
What was the percent?
1%.
1 to 3.
Yeah, and it's typically 1, I'll say that, all the loans. So
That's
our
great.
goal is not to make money really off of it, it's to help the businesses, so.
Yeah, yeah, thank you so much. for
Through
that
the chair,
presentation.
our new councilman, woman did not ask the question.
You know what, if anyone doesn't know about this program, I mean, your door's always open, right? You know, and I know that there's a lot of applicants, but do we have any like pending applicants that are in process right now?
Right now, there was one that was pending, but we have to put a hold on it only because, again, this is intended to be used a certain way. They needed funding for construction purposes. So again, my door's always open. So what I did is I connected them with the county, because the county has funding for tentative improvements. So that's my role. So if I can't help them, I try my best to get the information out there. Again, we do have Cafecito at the last Thursday of every month at 8 o'clock here in this building. So I do the presentation. I do inform the businesses as much as I can to let them know that this money is available. And just to let you know, although we lent out a huge amount just recently, that's not the norm. As we mentioned, we did lend out $245,000. We do have a new hardware store, but right now we still have $340,000. And if we do, our goal is to get us to help as many businesses as possible. So we're hoping that we can do increments of 35, depending on the need. But if, you know, just think about if it's 35,000 per applicant, how many can we help?
And we don't tell them what to apply for, you know what I mean?
It's based on what their need is.
Yeah.
So whatever comes through is what we look at and work with them on that.
Yeah, thank you so much. So thank you again for the presentation. I think it's valuable information for the council, but also for our residents to know, and kind of a form of an outreach, right? So our residents and our businesses know that this funding is available for businesses that need support and that meet the criteria. Obviously, they have to meet the criteria and be eligible, but Thank you so much for the work that both of you have done. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, council, we'll move on to our next presentation since we have for today. The contract, we'll move on to our contract engineer, Leon Gomez, will give a brief presentation regarding the active transportation program grant. Do we have Alex as well? Alex Ramos.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Actually, Alex will be in the whole thing, all day. On the first level.
These are of the, I know, he's amazing.
Alex. What's engineering maybe? Yep, there you
Alex.
go. There's Alex with a question. You. Thank you. Hey, good evening, Mayor and Council. How's everyone doing?
Good.
Good.
Thank you.
Resounding. Very excited to be before you this evening to present on something that has already been presented to council, but the active transportation program grant application that we will be submitting on behalf of the city of Soledad with our team in about mid-June. So just a couple of weeks, we're close to the finish line on some very significant and citywide transportation and safety improvements for the community. So really super excited. I'm going to lead the presentation this evening, but we have at the end of the presentation, when we get to Q&A, we have members of the team that help support this process. We have with us Ariana Green, Principal Transportation Planner with the Transportation Agency for Monterey County, who provided overall grant management and application support, coordination, review of the grant exhibit, as well as vetting some of the improvements. We also have Deborah Barr with Harrison Associates, Senior Engineering Manager. Deborah oversaw the preparation of the project exhibits, the preliminary engineering, the associated cost estimates, and supporting information. And Mr. Leo Trujillo, who's been here before in front of you. He's our on-call traffic engineer who reviewed the proposed project improvements, provided that necessary traffic engineering evaluation and support. So it takes a team to bring this together, and as we'll see throughout the presentation, it's a lot of effort that went into this project, but we're really happy and excited that we're almost there. So ATP, just a reminder, supports biking and walking infrastructure and encourages education and encouragement programming. ATP was created by Senate Bill 99 to encourage increased use of active modes of transportation, such as walking and biking. The funding comes from state and federal, and there's no required match. However, as part of the application process, agencies that leverage funds for other projects that are in the spirit of ATP get higher points on the application. And as we'll see later in the presentation, that's exactly what we're doing in the city of Soledad. Some of the other projects like Front and West Street and some of the other improvements will go to help leverage our application when we submit. And this project wouldn't be where it is without the partnerships. Definitely thank you to the Transportation Agency for Monterey County, who's been instrumental in supporting the city of Soledad on this application, as well as the Monterey County Health Department. This is the grant application timeline. As you can see, the outreach for this really goes back to the fall of 2022. So we're talking about well over a year of community engagement and public outreach that has gone into supporting this application. There was parent outreach done, a pilot project done on Front Street, if you remember, October of last year. The steering committee, the participatory budgeting process, walking audits, meetings with parents, students, schools over the course of over a year that really developed the baseline and foundation for what the ATP projects are proposing. Again, fall of 2022 is when that started. The ATP grant specific outreach occurred in spring of this year with a couple of presentations to council. Back in February, the large community presentation that ran probably 2 to 3 hours on April 10th of this year at the community center, where we solicited public input on the actual proposed improvements under this ATP grant program. The application is due on June 17th, and we are on track to have it ready and submitted by then, with grant award anticipated to be given in December of 2024 and allocation in August of 2025. So assuming all this moves on that timeframe, we would look at beginning the design of the improvements at the end of 2025. Project development, as I mentioned before, Safe Routes to School and Salinas Valley Plan, instrumental in establishing the groundwork for this. The participatory budgeting process really identified 6 corridors of concern: Gavilan Drive, Metz Road, Orchard Lane, West, Main Street, and Market. And as we'll see later, the overall ATP project really hits the majority of those corridors. Again, extensive community engagement was done as part of the Salinas Valley Safe Routes to School plan. The project is consistent. The grant projects being proposed now are consistent with the city's existing local roadway safety plan and Vision Zero goals, which prioritize safety to reduce and eliminate fatalities and or severe accidents associated with traffic collisions. Comments received from the community really were incorporated, and a lot of the major concerns had to do with speeding. Lots of families and communities using those corridors, and really feeling unsafe in certain corridors throughout the city. So again, the ATP grant project really has in mind to improve safety, reduce speeds, and improve access for bicycling and walking along these corridors. Here's a map. So this is what we mean by citywide. So on the map there are the 6 corridors of concern. The projects will connect schools to parks and community spaces. And what you see in the green is the ATP corridors. So we're looking at Gavilan Drive from San Vicente all the way to the end, Orchard Lane from north to south, Palm Avenue, 3rd Street. So we're hitting the older sections of town, and then West Street north of Gavilan Drive. What you see in purple dashed are the existing projects. So the Front Street Maintenance Project, which will have to add some safety enhancements along with it, and the future West Street Road Diet, which is the portion between Front and Gavilan Drive. So we've done our best over the last 6 to 8 months to really coordinate the projects so that they speak to each other in terms of an overall citywide improvement in facilities, safety, access, and mobility. Here's an example, and you all have seen this image before on various presentations preceding this with respect to the West Street Road Diet. Again, improvements on West Street, Orchard Lane, Front, 3rd Street, Palm Avenue, and Gavilan Drive are included. And many of the improvements are reducing the number of travel lanes, providing protected bike lanes, and high visibility crossings. And really the goal is to, let me go back to that, create a citywide network of safe walking and bicycling for children, for the community, for people of all ages, which I think has been a priority for the council and certainly us in engineering and public works staff for a while. And then just a side comment, when we talk about complete streets, there's been a transition in the older way of thinking of how streets were meant to just funnel traffic, be all about capacity, get as many vehicles and people through as possible, to now what the complete street thinking is it's a shared corridor. Really we have to make space for all the users, and those users include the public, the community, students, children, parents, the elderly, bicyclists, anybody that's jogging. We want to make it a safe corridor for access for all. Here's an example of West Street. Again, some of the safety improvements. These are clips that show examples of what we're proposing. And then to make the statement that what is being proposed under the application are conceptual improvements, okay? Once we get, assuming we get the grant award, the improvements will be vetted, will be further designed, the appropriate transportation, engineering, civil engineering, transportation planning will be done to fully vet those improvements as we move forward. Here's some improvements on Gavilan Drive, again, addressing a lot of the concerns with the community by providing those improvements that allow for visibility, for pedestrian access, for safety, protecting bicyclists as they travel through and in and out of the community. Here's an example of Orchard Lane. We've got a protected bike lane running north and south on both sides of the roadway, separated travel lanes, some road diets that we will be implementing throughout the corridors as well. Again, with the goal of reducing speeds, improving safety. And there is a bit of a balancing act. We know that council members have expressed concerns in the past with development that is coming and occurring in the city of Soledad. But really what we're looking at is that those developments are phased out, you know, they may not be realized for 10, 15, 20 years, and there's no reason we can't realize these now and have them in place for a period of time while those developments get online. And many of those developments, such as Miramonte, are phased. So even when they begin the first phase, the build out is, you know, years and years away. So we've done our best to understanding that capacity will increase to realize safety improvements now in the interim that work under the grant application process. And bear with me. Here's an example of a roundabout again at Orchard Lane, Metz Road. Again, this is conceptual, but one of the things that we do realize about roundabouts is they help make the intersections safer. They do reduce speeds. You can see here that we have a series of median islands, which allow pedestrians some refuge as they cross what is a pretty busy intersection. Of course, several of the community concerns here were under the existing conditions, safety with students, you know, accessing whether it's San Vicente or Hartnell in that area. So again, this is an example of a conceptual approach to how we might improve the intersection. Again, providing for, as we all know, the truck route that was recently adopted to go back to providing access for the larger vehicles through. You know, and that's another important comment to state. All these corridors that we are improving will of course take into account, you know, access for fire, for emergency vehicles, for MST, for buses, or any larger size vehicles or trucks that may be going through them. And then here's the cost, you know, it's again not insignificant. We will be asking for on the order of 23.5 million. The second column, cost estimate, other grant funding, is the funds we are arguing we're leveraging. So that's a combination of items like the Front Street project, which is roughly 4 million, the West Street Road Diet, which is roughly 2.7, maybe 3 million, other safety improvement projects throughout the city that have elements of complete street design relevant under the ATP program that we've combined to use as leveraging. So we believe this will make our application even that much stronger for a total estimate of 32.6 million. And again, there's, you know, a need for active transportation program. So part of the ask will include a collaboration between TAMC, Monterey County Health Department, and the city's police department to provide education and encouragement programming for children and the greater community. You know, it's not enough to just build the improvements or plan the improvements. We also want to have an educational program that educates the community how to roundabouts work, with bike lanes, you know, high visibility crosswalks, rectangular rapid flashing beacons, and all the typical kinds of safety measures that are included with complete street and related projects. So at this point, I'd like to open the floor to any team members, whether that be Ariana, Leo, or Deb, that may want to say anything. Maybe Ariana, if you'd like to add on to what I've just said. And if there are any questions from council, the floor is open and we're happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Leon. So I'll wait to see if there's any additional comments from the team members that are joining you via Zoom.
I don't have any additional comments. I think you covered it. You covered it all really well, Leon. Thank you. But it's been a pleasure working with the team and putting this project together.
Thank you, Ariana, for approaching us in the first place and really being an advocate for the city.
Thank you. So with that, then I'll bring it to council if there's any, let's start with any questions. We can start on this side. Yes, we
Okay.
can.
Hi, Leon.
Hey, how you doing?
Great, good to see you. So thank you so much for the thorough explanation and for your team as well. But my question is going back to the project cost estimate. So you're already applying into those grants with ATP. Okay. Something that's coming up from the city, what's coming up from our general fund or anything?
Well, right now what we're doing is leveraging funds that the city's already spending on those other projects. So if I go back to the tune of, you know, about $9 million, but really the ask is for 23 to fund what would be the rest of the design and the preparation of the project plans and everything that goes into the construction and associated work.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just, I know for the council, if you're looking at your estimate, it's gonna be a little bit different than the estimate that you have, Leon. I think yours is a little bit lower than ours.
Okay,
So,
yes.
so that way we don't get confused in
We-
terms of the numbers.
Yeah, you're right. I think we've adjusted the numbers
Mhm.
after I think the PDFs went into the agenda packet. So yes, my apologies.
Yeah, which is a little bit lower, so, yeah, thank you for that. So then I will turn it over to Councilmember Cabrera if there's any questions.
Yes, I don't know if I missed it, but where is this money coming from that you're asking? So is it from us or is that from different?
State and federal under the ATP program. And Ariana, would you like to give a little bit more background on that?
Yeah, so the bulk of the cost estimate, we'd be asking for grant money. And then the leveraging funds are from HSIP projects, from the Front Street project, the West Street project. So the areas shown in like the purple colors on the map and then the two X's. So we can count the money that the city's already putting towards those projects as leveraging funds for the ATP grant. So we'll get points for that on the grant, but the city won't have to pay any additional funding for this ATP grant.
Yes, and the timeline for that, for the whole project, do you have?
Are you referring to
Yeah.
when, the application is due June 17th.
June 17th.
We should be notified of the grant award December of this year, with allocation occurring in August of next year.
And the completion of the project?
A few years after that.
Years, yeah, okay.
Okay.
All right,
Councilmember Sanchez?
Yeah, I don't know if this is a question or a comment, so bear with me. I want to preface my comment and questions that I am very much someone that would like to think of themselves as an advocate for walkable cities. I think just because of the geographics of our city, I'm wondering if there's any concern because Gavilan is at a section where the high school is, and there's already in the mornings and in the afternoons, like the lines of cars, already going up and down. And I know that we're gonna have a road diet, and then on top of that, adding protected bike lanes, which again is great. I'm just wondering if that was considered and if we can maybe talk to the school district or something just to figure that out, because I'm just afraid that it's going to cause a lot of pushback from the community because of like just the location of where the school is. And I think that it's something that I don't know, I feel like maybe I've mentioned in another meeting, but it's just like that concern, right, of what it's gonna mean during these like peak times in the morning where people are going to work, dropping off their kids to school, and like I want to make sure that, even if they are protected, make sure people aren't getting hurt because there's just so many cars. I mean, I remember when I was in high school, someone got hit by someone's parent, like at the parking lot, and like even driving out for lunch today, with the graduation, there was already lines of cars and, they're not following traffic laws. So maybe it's that needs to be addressed, but I'm just like curious about those considerations.
So yes, the presence of the schools along all the corridors were certainly identified. I mean, the plan is the Safe Routes to School plan, and certainly the concerns with safety and the drop off and accessing schools were a significant consideration expressed by the community. I think with complete streets, and balancing the need of multiple users is that there has to be a little give and take on all sides, not only from the vehicular driver's side, but also from the pedestrian accessibility bicycle side. We have to realize that we only have so much room. One of the important things to point out, and I think what makes our project strong, is all of the improvements are proposed within existing city-owned rights-of-way along the street. So we're not proposing to take any private property at this point in time, which means we have to realize improvements within a limited footprint, and there's only so much we can do. In terms of, so yes, the considerations have been there. Ariana, I don't know if you'd like to add to that.
Yeah, I'll just add that we have been talking with the high school about their drop off and the traffic. And so in the Salinas Valley Safe Routes to School plan, there will be recommendations for the school district to try a different way to route folks through the the drop off. And so that's something that we can continue to talk with the school about, because that will help. Something will need to happen with their drop off in order to relieve the traffic on Gavilan, no matter what. But the city doesn't have jurisdiction over the parking lot, so we have to take it separately.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I just think that I think we share the same concern. And mostly because I see the project, it's gonna be years before its completion. And with years, more people are coming, more cars are coming. And my concern is that we only see examples of what could be. But for instance, I see the Orchard, the picture you guys have about Orchard. From my perspective, I might be thinking in the old way. There's not enough room for that, for those remodeling. You know, and I might be wrong, but to have parking, bike, one way, and then something in the middle, and then one-way driving and biking again, I don't think there's enough room for that. And if the way that people circulate through the street, you put in, from my perspective, and again, might be thinking in the old way, but if you have that reduce of a space, then people are still gonna speed up, because that's the only street to get out of that area. So my concern continues to be the same. Are we planning for right now? Or are we planning for the future? And if the future, we're considering like more people, more because we're gonna have a construction pretty soon in that area. So that's probably gonna increase the number of children that are going to those two schools. More parents walking, more parents driving. And that is my concern, of course. And you will probably gonna see the planning later on, the actual planning that we're gonna see built, right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, these improvements will not go forward without being brought to council when they get to the next stage, the first step is submitting the application. Hopefully getting the grant award, we will get the grant award, and then vetting those improvements out. But with respect to capacity, Leo, I'm gonna put you on the spot because I believe don't we have some information with respect to the recent either all-way stop warrants or the speed limit surveys that were done along that corridor, the Orchard Lane?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the other thing I don't mention about that is typically the worst location for traffic issues are not necessarily the street segments, right? They're typically the intersections. That's usually your bottlenecks at the intersections, right? And so, correct me if I'm wrong, Leon, but I believe that in the grant funding, there is money allocated to conduct intersection control evaluations at multiple locations here, right? Specifically at the Mets and Orchard and Gavilan and West, to make sure that we will be proceeding forward with the best possible solution. And that will be evaluating capacity and delay at these intersections, which handles capacity and delay on the street segments.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so we will, part of the grant then, if you're saying part of the grant is gonna include that evaluation in terms of those traffic patterns, right? To be able to ensure that whatever is gonna be installed or rehabbed, it's going to be in accordance with what's needed for that traffic pattern in the future.
Yes, we identified the intersections where improvements are proposed and then budgeted and what's called an intersection control evaluation study to assess that capacity and impacts, correct?
Question about that though, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I know that when you do these evaluations, it's current, right? So there's no projection on impacts in the future. Because my concern is that if we fix something now, we can't really go back and take it back,
Leah, would you like to address how the future capacity is anticipated in ICE studies?
Sorry, what was that, Leon?
Would you like to address how future capacity is anticipated for an intersection control
Oh, no, yeah,
evaluation?
that's actually a typical scenario that is evaluated. So we collect traffic data for existing conditions, right? And we also project out traffic conditions for typically, 10, 20, 30 years out into the future. Now, how we arrive at those traffic volumes, that will have to coordinate with the city because typically, you collect data from all the projected, growth of the city in the next 20, 30 years and add that on top of the existing conditions, traffic volumes. Other times you can just use a factor, like a 1 or 1.5% growth factor and stretch it out over 20, 30 years. And that will give you the cumulative conditions, the future conditions, traffic volumes. So that'll be something that we definitely include in the analysis so that we don't just look at now and we project it out into the future.
And part of that, so thank you for that, Leo, and I just want to tell the council, I know being on the AMBAG board, obviously, we're looking at some of the future projections also with housing development, traffic patterns and all of that, so that is part of the discussions, that are taking place in terms of what is that growth projection, right? And so there is already some of that that's already been designated for future growth patterns based on obviously all these different data points, so that will be taken into consideration. But I just want to remind the council, I mean, I know we're looking at, this is current, we're looking, as Leon said, it's, for current and future, right? Because we want to make sure that we're addressing what we need now, but also looking at, I think for me, this gives us an opportunity to also look at standards for future development. So as we're putting this together and we're looking at all of the different evaluations that are taking place before, we put whatever is going to be put in those intersections, that it's also data for us to be able to look at as we grow, especially the future of Miramonte and others, that we now have hopefully standards that we don't design streets that we're going to have to redesign again, right? That we're designing streets that are going to meet the capacity for what we have. And so again, I mean, I know there's going to be, I just want to be cautious of time, council, because I know that we still have some more. So we had a discussion about this. I know there's concerns about traffic. Everybody has concerns in regards to that, the road diets. I know Councilmember Cabrera had brought that up, and obviously it's something that other cities are looking at, and we're not the only ones, but there is a change of, I think, behavior, right? Or perspective, mindset, because we do see the more lanes, you have more traffic flow. And when you reduce the lanes, it seems like you're going to get more congestion. But I do just want to say that we're at the point now where you're coming to us to be able to approve submittal of this grant for future consideration of all the different elements that are still going to come back to council for discussion, right? So I want to make sure that we're clear on that.
Through the chair, just to make a clarification of why I have that concern. I've been working in the same place for almost 8 years, and I've been driving to Salinas and taking the airport exit. So the airport exit, that building and the entrance coming from north was renovated. And now you see a tremendous, what do they call it? Bottleneck in the morning, from 3 to 5:30. It takes me almost half an hour to go from the work to take that freeway. And the place is so compacted because of the changes they made. And what I'm looking at is, I don't want us to have the same situation, because they foreseen that they could control that. Now they add in 2 more lines on the outside, the entrance, but nothing on that. So what's gonna happen? I can see a whole bunch of trucks, cars, people, and there's only 2 lanes crossing the bridge. So it's a nightmare, and that is what I see. I might be thinking in the old way, but
So, yeah, thank you, Councilmember. It's not, it's what we're used to, right? So it's actually what you see, because you see the patterns of the traffic flow. So I think just to move us along, thank you so much for sharing that in terms of. what you're, so can, hold on.
Yeah,
Let
I
me
just I never got to finish everything I wanted to ask or comment on, so I just want to make sure that I get to finish.
Okay, so we thought we were done, so let me just make sure,
Sorry.
then let's go back to let me go back to make sure that we have. I'm gonna start again with one council member, finish the comments, so that way we can have the flow
Yeah,
again.
absolutely.
So, okay, so we were
We're on there, yeah.
here, okay.
Yeah, so.
We were here, and
So-
let's just make sure we're
Yeah.
tracking each other, please. because-
Absolutely, I'll be fast. So, I just want to make a clarification that I am definitely like interested in obviously moving this forward, and I'm very interested in progressing the city. I just, out on the campaign trail, a lot of the issues that I was hearing about was traffic. People coming in, accidents being caused by coming in, vendors and stuff like that. So my comments are mainly to bring up what I've heard, right? And just to have like some sort of transparency purposes for the city to know that we are talking about just a grant process. And I'm asking these questions on behalf of them, but also that we're gonna come back and we're gonna see what it actually looks like. But I just want to make sure that we're aware that these questions are coming up already.
But no, I think we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, and I think I was the last one, to make my comments, I think we started, no, did we go, okay, so let me
Just
sure.
really, sorry, just really quick. I know that there was some type of trial on Front Street, right? Just my comments, it was great. A lot of people, from the feedback that I received, was like, oh my gosh, it's too tight, blah, blah, blah. And so I just tell them, you need to slow down, like, and you gotta not speed up, because, you guys are all talking about safety, I'm talking about safety, I have kids. Everyone goes and walks and use the bikes, and that is a great, presentation, like just a pedal still. So that way we understand what's gonna go on, and I mean, I would like that trial to come back, but that's just me. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. So I just my final comments on this is I just wanna thank, Tansy, Monterey County Health Department, Leon, thank you for all of that, because I know it's taken a long time, like you said, since 2022, there was amazing feedback. There was this whole amazing voting process that the parents went through to be able to analyze and look at what were the corridors of concern. So I just wanna make sure that we, provide, thank you to all the participants in the community that came out to be able to identify this. And now that we have an opportunity to seek a grant, maybe it's not the perfect grant, but we can come back and look at what are some of the other elements that may be able to be looked at a little bit more through some of the traffic studies that are going to be conducted to see if that's the right fit. When I look at the roundabout on Metz, I think it's a great idea. Obviously, some people may be concerned about it, but I also know that when we did the first roundabout, people were pissed off about the roundabout because it was different in terms of how we think about our traffic patterns, right? But when you look at the benefits of that and the flow of traffic, and especially in that intersection, it really did improve. So I think again, it's, it's looking at a different way and looking at those studies. And I think for the council is just making sure that we understand what those studies are, what those studies mean, how does that reflect back, and how is that going to improve, and that we get the opportunity to ask those questions along the way. Hopefully, if we're successful, we really thank all the partnerships that came together to be able to provide this amazing, opportunity to be able to get, 24 million. I mean, that's just funny money that we don't have as a city to be able to do this, and because it's part of a larger project that we had our CIP study session where there's so much infrastructure projects that are happening, right? That this all kind of ties together to make those communities safer for our residents that are concerned about that. My last comment is, I still think, and I know it was brought up, but the participation with the school district is going to be imperative. I know that we don't control what they do, but there's been discussions, several years dating back to looking at, can the school have a staggered structure, right? Where not all the schools going at the same time. We know it happens in Salina, especially with the middle school and the high school. Can they come in at a later time to really avoid that traffic concern? So, we've discussed those as a council in the past. I mean, it hasn't really gone forward with much traction, but I think this gives us an opportunity to be able to have those discussions again with the school district is, hey, if we're all investing and trying to make our community safe, can we, is it a possibility to stagger at least on the middle school and the high school, right? Or some of the schools that are close by to have some staggered times of entry. So with that, I just want to thank you so much for all of this presentation, for giving us all the information previously and now coming back with an application that's going to be submitted, and we wish much luck that the city is awarded with the funding.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for being online.
Thank you. Okay, so we will move on now to our next presentation, and I'll turn this over to our city manager, who's going to give us a brief presentation and update regarding the Veterans Banner Program.
Yeah, and this is gonna be super brief. I just wanted to let council know that we met with a couple of veterans who are involved with the American Legion about the Veterans Banners Program. We let them know that the banners that we did take down from Front Street were damaged and tattered, and that's why we took them down. Because they had been up for like, I think 2 years or more than 2 years. And so we have staff, Henry Aguilar from Community and Economic Development, who's our community engagement coordinator, has worked diligently to return the veterans banners, which were largely funded by each veteran. Contributed like about $50 to pay for those banners. So I think he's returned about 50% of the banners, but we can provide his contact information. I can have Darlene follow up with his contact information with each of you, and you can refer any veterans to him. We did decide that we wanted to work collaboratively with the veterans in Soledad to look at a collaborative relationship where maybe the city would, if council was amenable to this, would fund the labor and associated lift to put up the banners, and then the veterans group is going to go back to their folks and see if they could do the same kind of, we'd almost do exactly the same banners that we had before, and if they can get the veterans to fund, whatever that cost per banner is, somewhere between 50 to, maybe $75, depending on inflation. And we would have the goal of putting them up for the month of November, which is tied to Veterans Day. So that's kind of the goal. And in addition, I just wanted to mention that Henry is working with with Canoe, who's our community and economic development director, to come up with a banner program that we would have for the entire year, and where we would rotate out these banners as a way of really helping bring presence to downtown. So we will be coming back at some point with kind of a banner program with council, but I did want to let you know that we think that the veterans banner program was great. The problem was that the banners need to be rotated. So if we do work with them, we would store the banners, and then if council is amenable, every November, or at least, as long as the banners last, we would, rotate them in. So anyhow, that was the plan. So.
Thank you, Megan. So let me open it up to questions. And I will start with, if there's questions for Megan's presentation, I'll start with Councilwoman Bañuelos.
Megan, quick question. You said banner program, would that be like anything in regards to National Night Out Month, or, veterans, of course, for the month of, are we gonna designate maybe like a month of, I don't know, like a January, what's January? President's Day in February, or is it just some type of like season
I think we were mostly looking at something seasonal, but it could be an opportunity to highlight city events. You know, could be for 4th of July, could be hot summer days. We've talked about doing it because we had such a successful Dia de los Muertos to replicate and do something like that. So it could be different things. The only thing is not to kill our maintenance, our great public works maintenance staff. We probably don't want to be just, you know, putting up, taking down, putting up banners. So we're probably looking at 6 maybe times a year where we would put banners up, maybe 6 to 8, depending on staff capacity.
Thank you. So, thank you. And then I will turn over to Councilmember Gonzalez Sanchez.
My only question, I guess, is going off a little bit about what Councilwoman Bañuelos said. So, I know we're talking mainly about, the veterans banners. So then are we considering banners for other folks and other groups, or is this just veterans banners 6 times a year? I'm a little confused.
Oh, yeah, I should say we would only do the veteran banners 1 time of year for probably like a month. Is what we were talking about doing. But the banner program would largely be kind of a seasonal type of thing, or it might be for something like a special, like a good example was last year was, I think, the Pinnacles 10-year anniversary. So there might be an opportunity to do something like that. We would coordinate with the nonprofit, see if they would be willing to pay for it, and then it would enter into our banner program. I think King City is a good example. They partnered with Blue Zones, and they had a message about, you know, being healthy, and they put up Blue Zone banners, or the fair, you know, they have the fair in King City, and they had, you know, one during that time, I think it's in May, where they had banners in May to kind of reflect the fairground. So I think we would do the same thing, but largely it's seasonal. We had, with the first time we've done it since the veteran banners was we put banners up over the holidays this year, and it was a shop local message, but it was just more of a holiday theme, and it just said shop Soledad. So we'll probably you'll see them again recycle in December, so we'll put those up again, and that's kind of the goal. And if there's something, I think when we come back, council will have the opportunity to provide direction. We will have a proposal that would talk about the year, and then we would, you know, whatever direction council wanted in terms of how to change it up. We're open.
Thank you.
But for clarifications, that could be a different discussion in terms of the banner program, but for our discussion right now, it's questions on the veterans banner. On the information regarding the veterans banner and how we're gonna proceed with that. Okay. Councilmember Cabrera?
I was looking at the some of the banners during the Memorial Day, and they were damaged at the half, almost the half of it. But they were pretty big. And then the other day I was walking on downtown Salinas, in Old Town, and they have banners that are like half the size of the ones that we have. Would it be possible to do that size instead? Maybe that would reduce the damage that they get?
Unfortunately, no, because we have the actual lighting poles are set with the design for that size. I mean, I can definitely ask Joelle to look at it, but I think we're kind of stuck with that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Megan. Thank you for bringing this up, because I know many of us heard, you know, that there was some contentiousness about those banners being taken down. I was here when we did the program, and it was done in-house to be able to collect all the data, to be able to provide, you know, the applications and to get all that done. So we have, I guess my question to you is, we had an active database because the city staff representative was the one that took care of all of that. The application process and all of that. So do we have a database? We have an established database for all of the veterans? Because I'm assuming that we should have had all their information entered into a portal somewhere.
Yeah, I think Henry is, yeah.
Okay, so we can go back to that. And then also if there's new and families that want to participate in the program, we can reach out to the old families. Because I know it was really meaningful. I heard just from a couple of other family members that had their flags returned to them and just kind of like, hey, well, we're thankful, but this really means a lot to our family. How do we make sure that we continue with that? So for some of our new families also to be able to participate, and I agree that to have it in the month of November. I like the city of Salinas as well, because I know they have it right now for the Memorial Day celebration. But if we can come back at a later time and look at the program, but really making sure that we go back to seeing how we can do a program that is that's sustainable, so we can replicate it every year. So thank you for bringing that back to us. And I'm assuming that everybody that was returned their banner was informed that we're gonna continue to proceed with how we're gonna up the program again.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if, initially, I don't think so, but we are working with the veterans groups to make sure that everyone is in the know, and we will be reaching through the database.
Okay, good. So thank you. Yeah, we want to make sure they get accurate information. So, thank you for doing that. Okay, so if no other questions or comments, council, we'll move on to our next item. Our next report, and this is our final report before we go on to the new business items, is City Manager Megan Hunter will give us a brief presentation update regarding the Soledad Mission Recreation District city appointment, and I will turn this over to Megan.
Yeah, and this will be even briefer. I just wanted to let you know that we do have a opening on the one city opening on the Soledad Mission Recreation District. And I think it's probably a good idea. There have been discussions in the past about how we work together, and I think it might be a good idea if we have city representation. So what we can do is Darlene can send you the information about the appointment. I believe that technically it's the mayor's appointment, but I'm not sure entirely. I think that that's generally how it's been with city council approval. But if you have applications that you can get out to the public, and then we can bring them forward and share them with the mayor. And hopefully we can get an appointment. I think that would be great.
Yeah, thank you, Megan. Council, any questions or comments?
Would I be, sorry, question. Would I, like, let's just say, for example, if I do want to be in interest of that position, am I able to? Since it's an appointment, or would it conflict?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it would probably conflict,
Okay.
so I would identify someone, not you, but I mean, not.
Yeah,
a council member.
Yeah,
Okay.
not a
Okay.
council member, so what I
Yeah.
mean.
Historically, it hasn't been on council member. And so Megan, thank you for bringing this up. I know we've had different concerns, and I know I've gotten different directions in terms of, obviously the district was created in 1962 and there's different laws that apply to it because it's a special district. But there was language that was provided already previously. I think I had forwarded that to you as well in terms of the process, right? How many positions we have as a city, because there was a lot of conversation the last year and a half about just some contentiousness in regards to how we work together, how we don't, but the reality is that we do have those appointments that typically we should be in sync with, how we're working together, because there are representatives on that board. So I want to make sure that we go back to just ensuring that we understand that we have appointments made and how we're communicating and how they're communicating with us as a council in terms of any issues or concerns or how we can best work together with the district. So based on at least the laws that I have, and I know there was some different, you know, interpretations in terms of legal counsel of how that was, but that the mayor does have, it's the mayor, not the either the Board of Supervisors or the mayor appoints those vacant positions, has appointing authority. So I just want to make sure we're clear on that. So that way, as we move forward as a council, we're all transparent and we all understand the authority based on the existing laws and that. But with that, I think it's important to be able to have a mechanism to be able to have applications. I like the application process because I think it makes it more transparent. If there's an application process where the people are interested or any of us have any suggestions, that we can bring that forth and we can review it, have a process where you know, we review and then based on the appointees that come forward, then the mayor can make the recommendation.
Great, so I'll send you, oh, or actually not me, because I'm going on vacation tomorrow. Darlene will forward you that information.
And what's a timeline for this? So we can make sure that we don't, you know, we're not discussing this in 3 months from now. If there's a deadline or a timeline, we obviously, if there's a vacancy, what's a timeline for us to pull it?
I don't think there's a set timeline. It's been vacant for a while. So I think as soon as we, you know, you have enough applications to review and you're ready to make your appointment, we'll put it forward as soon as
Yeah,
possible.
that's the big one. We have it on our master list, but we have to get it out there first. We have to be able to gather applications.
And we'll post it. I'll have Darlene work with Jesus to post the notification onto the website and put it on social media, but before I did that, I wanted to get approval from the council that you would like to move forward with that appointment, so.
Yeah. Council, we're good with that. I just want a deadline, because I think when we send out applications, there has to be a deadline, so we at least know, hey, this is the deadline, and then we review those applications. Hopefully we get applications before the deadline date, but when it's open-ended, it makes it really difficult for people.
If you'd like, we could put the deadline the first or the second week in July. Because that will give us time to post it, you know, in different areas, and then also receive applications and send them back to you, since we don't have I'm not sure about the first meeting in July, but I know we're having a second meeting in July.
Okay, so maybe by the end of the month, or by the first week of July, because it'll be July 4th. That'll be a busy week. Yeah, as long as we have a timeline, I think for me, it's just making sure that we're gonna send out applications that they're due, if we wanna say they're due July 5th, and then we have enough time to review. Does that work? Okay. Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Megan, for bringing this back to our attention. Okay, so then we'll move on. Thank you, council. So let's move on now to our business. And for today, we do have 3 items of business. So we'll begin with resolution number 6101, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Soledad approving consulting service agreement with Blanc and Viatech Corporation for Professional Engineering Services for the Soledad Wastewater Reclamation Facility Assessment and Improvement Projects, and authorizing the city manager to execute the agreement for an amount not to exceed $174,889, and I'll turn it over to Don.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Don Wilcox, Public Works Director. As most of you know, we have it's gonna be up there. There it goes. A phenomenal water reclamation facility that the city constructed between 2008 and 2010 for somewhere between $50 and $60 million. So it's been our new plant. It's the newest one in the Tri-County area, I think, but now it's 14 years old. And it's a significant asset. Again, it cost 50 to 60 million in 2010. That would probably be double today as our neighboring cities are seeing. So over the last 14 years, it's run 24/7. A lot of the major components are starting to wear out. There's better technology, there's better energy efficiency. We need to have the main aeration system replaced. We're fortunate that it's a 5.3 million gallon per day plant. We're only running at 2.8 million gallons per day, so we can limp along a lot of the major components, but they're getting to the end of their useful service life. Our staff out there, we have 3 maintenance mechanics that have taken care of the plant phenomenally, especially as it's aged and there's more component replacements, but there's only so much they can do. They can't do the major maintenance. We've got 3 350 horsepower motors that have run for 14 years. That's beyond our scope to be able to change. So we need a consultant to come in that knows the latest technologies, the energy efficiencies, the OSHA upgrades that we know we need. So that the plant is basically just gets a major tune-up so that it'll be reliable. The other reason that we need to look at it is because we have 2 permits. One is for if we produce recycled water, quality effluent, which we're about to need. That's a much more stringent permit. Or if we're just going to our rapid infiltration basins to the left up there, the water quality doesn't have to be quite as clean as if we're using recycled water. So there's a lot of reasons. It's old. We need to tune it up for the recycled water project that's coming up. And there's a host of things we need to look at. Permit compliance, safety, security, reliability, redundancy, general maintenance, repairs, and also the Title 22. We need to have it in good condition. So we did an RFP for consultants to come in and do an assessment. We were fortunate that Black and Veatch proposed on it since they were the designer of the plant. And they have all the background files, everything to really help. And it's got their name on it, so they want to help us get it back to A1 shape. We also had Carollo, who's the second, one of the 2, Black and Veatch and Carollo are 2 of the largest wastewater design consultants in the country. They just did Black and Veatch just did their first 1 billion gallon per day plant in Chicago. So we interviewed both. We're very happy with either one, but Black and Veatch was recommended unanimously by the proposal review committee, and staff recommends going forward with Black and Veatch to perform this assessment. Once the assessment's done, we will come back to council with the news. It may be, I'm hoping for $5 million or less upgrades needed. It may be 2, it may be a little bit more. There'll be a cafeteria plan, depending on how far we want to go with energy efficiency. So having said that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Don, for that. So I'll start with Councilmember Cabrera, if there's any questions.
No, but I would like to see that report.
Yeah, and have
Yes.
you been on a tour yet? Oh,
No, not yet, but
So we're also still trying to coordinate a tour
Yes.
for the council members that have not been out there. Yeah. So it's quite a facility.
Yeah, no, I don't have any more.
Councilmember Salvo Sanchez?
Yeah, just one question. I'm looking at the attachment and I know it says that it has important dates and it has an approximate start date of the 1st. So what is there like just an update on that?
We didn't get this to council as fast as we thought, so the contract will prevail. We'll establish this starting date and then the duration, the term in the contract.
Thanks.
Councilwoman Benuelos?
No, but I'm just excited for the tour.
Ditto.
I'm experienced.
How about a barbecue after? We have barbecues out there.
Even better.
Alright, I'm excited.
We will not be using city funds for that.
Absolutely.
Don't we take one, last one?
Well, thank you so much, Don. So let me take it out to the public to see if there's any comments from the public in regards to resolution number 6101. Any of those any public that is joining us here in the chamber, any comments on resolution 6101? Okay, seeing none, then let me take it out to Zoom. If there's anyone joining us via Zoom, has comments on resolution number 6101?
Fair enough.
Okay, seeing none, then with that, then I will bring it back to council for a motion for approval of resolution number 6101.
Through the chair, I just want to note that in their proposal, they made a number of requested changes to the city's template agreement. And I just want to make sure that it's understood that if the council approves this evening, that we have not consented to those changes, that they're still subject to discussion and negotiation with them.
Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you. And were there significant, sorry, just
No,
significant?
most of them are rather minor. There's one that has to do with the extent of their liability and so forth. So that's something that I need to discuss with them.
Okay, and it'll be in accordance with whatever's in the regulations for public works contracts?
Yeah, it would. It's definitely a negotiable item. I just want to make sure that we have an understanding. This project's going to be brought forward in 2 phases, right? And so are we talking about the overall cost of the entire project, or are we just talking about the first phase? That's what I'm saying. It's just more ironing out details than anything else.
Okay, perfect, thank you. So we're just accepting the project. We're not accepting any of the proposed changes.
You're making it on the basis of the proposal that they sent, but that does not necessarily mean that you consented to all of the items for consideration of the changes to the contract. I can state that on the record. That should be sufficient.
Then we do that frequently with consultant contracts, negotiations. The terms.
Yeah, just unusual to see them come as part of their proposal. I was kind of caught a little off guard to see that this time. So,
okay.
Through the chair, so how will the motion be?
yeah, I just stated it on the record, so it's just fine. I mean, you can just go through the usual motion process. Yeah.
Yeah, so I move that we approve resolution number 6101.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, resolution 6101 passes unanimously. Thank you, Don.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we'll move on to item number 2, consider proposed changes to Measure Y and S oversight committees and provide direction to staff. And I will turn this over to our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. So, what has happened is that we have had challenges with people participating in the Measure Y and Measure S committees. Staff reached out to me, I think just right, a week before this report was due, to indicate that both Measure Y and Measure S cannot meet because we only have 2 members on each committee, 2 eligible members. Several members turned out. We weren't able to have a meeting, and 1 member is now a council member, so she can't be on the oversight committee. And 1 member is a planning commissioner who can't be on the Measure S committee. So I think we just need to look at these oversight committees and discuss some options that may help have the turnout that we need. Unfortunately, the budget that will be presented to you will be without the oversight committee's recommendation. I did kind of lay out some of the challenges. I think Measure Y has had more consistency and has had better turnout. It is a 5-member oversight committee. And so that one, we have been pretty much able to meet until the last probably quarter or so. The Measure S oversight committee has been more challenging because we actually have 9 members of that committee, and between the dates of June 9th through May 2022 to May 9th, 2024, city diligently tried to schedule 8 Measure S oversight committee meetings, and I had been there. We had confirmed quorums and everything, and staff was all ready to go. And then folks didn't show up. So we, there would be a few folks who showed up, but they would we couldn't meet, so we'd have to cancel the meeting due to quorum. So that happened, we only met once, and I think of the 8 meetings, 7 of them were canceled, and I think 4 of them were, we thought we had a quorum and folks didn't show up. So I think there probably needs to be discussions for legal purposes, and Mike Rodriguez can weigh in. But traditionally, I think these oversight committees have been really more about accountability as it relates to the funding and making sure that the funding is spent according to what the budget was for. Sometimes I think these committees may make some recommendations, and we have sought recommendations for them. I don't know if that concept of an oversight committee is not very interesting to people, because you're almost, in a way, I don't want to call you an auditor, but you're almost, getting into the finances and making sure that they're spent correctly. And maybe asking some questions about, how departments spent the money. I don't know if it's advisable to do some changes, and we could talk to Mike Rodriguez. He could answer what may be okay and what may not. I don't know about term limits. Sometimes you have people who really get it and they're good at it. If that's a possibility, there may be a thought of, combining Measure Y and Measure S. And they may have to open as Measure Y and then, close the meeting and then open as Measure S. We could reduce the number of Measure S members back to 5, which was, I think it started off as 5. We could consider paying a stipend, a small stipend for meeting attendance, which I know that, I think we're one of the few jurisdictions that do pay, our planning commissioners a small stipend, and we've had pretty, good turnout of, planning commission. But I think we're just looking for direction, because the current, way we have things is not working for us. I will note, in all fairness, council member Corlejo had an appointment that she was going to move forward with, so we will have at least one additional person on Measure S, but if this body approves it. But I think we're just looking for some possible ideas of how we can address this lack of quorum. Now, there's no action tonight, and whatever is decided would have to, we would have to modify the ordinance, but at least we could come back with a proposal that you then could take action on. So that is my report. I know it was a lot of information, but
Thank you, Megan. So before I bring it to the council, let me take it out for the public to see if there's any public comments on this item. So I don't know, let me just hear anyone in the chambers that has any comments. I'm seeing no, and let me take it out to those that are joining us via Zoom. If there's any members of the public that have comments on the proposed changes to Measure Y and S Oversight Committee.
There are none.
Okay, seeing none, then I will bring it back to the council, just for, I guess at this point, just open it up, since we're just not, I mean, we're not voting on anything tonight, but just providing some sense of direction or comments. And I will start, because I know that Councilwoman Bañuelos has been on one of the committees, and has some insights in terms of what have been some of the challenges. I'll start with Councilwoman Bañuelos and then work my way to the other council members.
Thank you, Mayor. I do want to echo what Megan said, because it has been a challenge. But now that the seat is open, because I was on there, I mean, if you guys are here listening, and if those of you who are gonna listen again on the YouTube or Zoom, I just encourage you guys just to kind of participate and just to get more involved because this is an impact for the community and not just, you know, us in the council. We want your feedback, and that's why I stepped into this spot in Measure S, because I wanted to understand where the funds were going. I wanted to understand, and you know, there was a lot of questions. But again, I just wanted to, you know, encourage everyone just to have this opportunity. We get busy, we have lives, you know, we have our children, we have work, you know, and if I'm able to prioritize, I believe we can prioritize and, you know, make an impact with the community. So just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Ansaldo Sanchez?
Yeah, so, I think that it would be a really good idea to explore, merging both of the committees together and not having any limit on how long you can serve on that committee. And I think that we can also think about not limiting, shortening the amount of people, maybe 5 to 7, since it's gonna be 2. But maybe 5, if, you know, a lack of quorum is an issue, we can't get 7, but I think that would be something that is worth looking into. And then also, we did have 3 really great people that came to interview for the council appointment, and I'm hoping that we can maybe reach out to them to see if they're interested in serving their community at that capacity.
Thank you. Councilmember Cabrera?
Yes, I like the option of merging as well as reducing the number of members for the committee. But in an effort to get also young people, because we just saw the youth council, how good are they in participating. Maybe we can look into providing community hours, community hours to stimulate some of the senior members, students in the high school, maybe even look into if HARNET could provide college credits for, I don't know, maybe a political science course or something like that, so that we can stimulate the students to participate, young people to come into that. Because if providing a stipend work, maybe providing college courses, so-called community hours will work as well with young people.
Point of information, do you have to be 18 to be on the committee?
No, because we have a student, so we have a
perfect.
student.
Okay.
No. Because that person was involved in school
And
activities.
it's collective.
Well, it was part of our youth council, so I made that appointment. It was our youth council, and I know it was Indiana, I believe.
Very busy.
Very busy, so, but because we wanted a representative there. So, I just want to say, and I don't know if I saw it on here, Megan, and maybe I missed it, but just as a matter, well, I'll make my comments afterwards, so I don't want. Okay. Did you finish yours? Okay. So just on my comments on that, I know that we've struggled for several years now on that, and when I came on board, we had the Measure Y committee, and they were instrumental. I have to just tell the council now that they did provide us with feedback in terms of, and Mike remembers because he's been part of this, in terms of recommendations, right, that we had, and some of the, just for context for our residents, some of the Measure Y dollars already have been secured or expended or locked in because we have contracts with CAL FIRE, and so the percentage that the committee has to work with is very minimal, right? But it's still important. And I know we've had, in the past, critical dialogues about, okay, so where do you put that funding source, right? And through some of the recommendations of the Measure Y committee is also where we have an allocation that was set aside for future construction projects to help with matching funds if we apply for a grant for some of our public facilities and improvements. So input from the committee has been important, right? It's come back to the council during budget time, and most of the time we've taken the recommendations, but sometimes we haven't, right? The council's made a different determination on top, I'm sure, how we're gonna use those funds. But I think, for me as a councilwoman, but also as a voter, when we approve these two measure, sales tax, one of the, at least for me, the decision factor to vote for it was that there was gonna be an oversight committee. So you, in a sense, have another layer of insurance to the public that this money's gonna be utilized, not that the city misappropriates funds, but that there's gonna be another community lands on how these funds can be recommended for expenditure. And so I want to say, and this is maybe a legal question to Mike, is because the initiatives both had language in terms of oversight, the citizens' oversight. Can we merge them? Can we merge the two committees together? And then I know one of them with Measure S had really specific, the language that went out to the voters was, it was going to be for seniors, for youth, for animal services. And so the reason why we have 7 members is because we wanted to make sure that we represented, the 9 members, that we represented the youth, that we had a senior representative, that we had a person that represented the animal sector. And then I'm trying to remember the other ones, because we had 9 of them in each one.
There are members for those specific subjects. And then we have, like, the uniform general.
Oh, okay, so the council gets to,
Yeah,
okay.
so, those could easily be eliminated, and you'd still have your representation for your.
For the 5 specific that were part of the measure. Okay, so then we can, the question then of reduction from the 5 members, the 9 to 5 would be feasible because we'd still meet the criteria of what we went out to the voters.
Yes, yeah, what went out to the voters was the establishment of a 5-member oversight board. And then there was a decision after the fact to modify that by adding 4 positions. And that didn't require a change to the ordinance because it was not changing reducing the number of board members and so forth. So determination was made that we could move forward with that without having to go through an ordinance amendment. So, yeah, so you could go back to the original 5, which is what the ordinance that was voted upon by the voters actually says we would have.
Okay, what about merging?
I don't see anything that, both of these provisions require just simply that, I'm just looking at the language right here. It says that, additionally, the mayor and city council shall each annually appoint 1 member of the public to serve as an oversight committee for the revenue that the city receives from the tax enacted by this article and to recommend the use thereof. So in both cases, I think that there wouldn't be a problem having them be merged as a single board. I would think that, as I think Megan indicated, we would want to make sure that, they would wear 2 hats, much like you guys do when you're redevelopment item or successor agency item and city council item. They would take care of business as the Measure Y, and then when they were done with that, they would move back and say, okay, now we're acting as the Measure S. But yeah, I think that you could definitely do that without running afoul or tripping over. The most important thing is to let the voters know that you have carried out your responsibility to appoint an oversight committee for both of these entities.
Okay, and then that we would also, if that's what the council chooses when we come back for future discussion on this, and we can also make sure that we point out the historical challenges that we've had with establishment of both committees so that the community knows this is, our intention was to do this, but here's what the challenges have been. So we can, I like that idea of the merger because I think, at first I was concerned about it, but I think the Measure Y, when it was first presented to the voters, the language was obviously protection of public safety, but it was also, I know it's still a general use tax, but protection of public safety also with the youth component, right? So I think having the merger and then having the Measure Y and then the Measure S hat for those committee members is probably going to be easier because I know we've tried different things and I've heard from my appointee how frustrated she's been because she comes to the meetings and she's here and she's ready and she's prepared and then nobody shows up. And so she was really excited to come on board, and I don't even know how excited she is because she hasn't called me, right? Because it's, you know, it's not okay, and I think for us as a council is just to really making sure that when people come and get excited about being in these committees, how are these committees really flowing and doing their, you know, doing their job. So I think we can come back, Megan, for more discussion on it, council, as I know that, I mean, I think we shared a couple of ideas of combining that, what that would look like, and the reduction. I think I would like to see also a reduction from the 9 to 5 if we still meet the definition of what's the priority areas that were as part of the measure Y to measure S. To make sure that the residents know that we're still wanting to make sure that we're true to what those funds were supposed to be used for. I would like to see also, I mean, I know, Darlene, you've done a lot to really make sure that there's notification and people are being called and reminded about the meetings, but also just kind of an onboarding. I know we talked about it a couple of times ago in the council of having an onboarding. So when people come in, it's not just like, hey, I recommend you, but they also get a briefing on, hey, this is what your role is. Here's how it's important. Here's why it's critical. Here's what the measure does. I'm glad to see that you added those two informational pieces in regards to what the measure, the money that comes in and what's it's used for, because I think that's important for our community. I also think I'm in favor of getting a stipend, because I think many of the people that we you know, selected, some of them are seniors, some of them I know have been veterans, students. And I think even looking at a stipend, what a stipend would look like, to be able to do that, I think that would be really helpful. I think for some of us that sit on some of the committees, I know I do, I think Tamsi does it as well. We get a stipend as part of, do you get a stipend?
No.
No? Oh,
No, I do for the Salinas Valley Solid Waste Authority.
okay, yeah, and I do as well as my role as the chair of MST and AMBAG, I think AMBAG does it. So I think it's, I think that's, you know, not that we do it for an incentive, but I think it's important, you know, I think we've had those discussions in regards to how do we engage people, right? So maybe even just as, not that we're gonna give them like a bunch of money, but at least a small stipend to be able to say, hey, we really value your time and we need you to be here, and, you know, we want you to be part of the process. So yeah, I think looking at, obviously, Mike Howard is looking at me, but saying, you know, can we do that within the budget? And I don't think it's, you know, a massive amount of money.
Not if it were something similar to what we do with the planning commission, where it's a per meeting. Yeah.
Yeah, a per meeting, that's what I would like to see. What do our planning commissioners get?
$50 per meeting.
$50 per meeting, okay, yeah. I think that would be helpful. I mean, that would be one of my recommendations to move forward with consideration of a stipend on that. So, anything else, council? And then we'll bring it back. Megan, you'll bring it back.
Yeah. You can probably bring it back in, July. July 7th, well, depending on the action of the next item.
Okay, yeah, I think, and so just on the term limits?
Yeah.
So what is the term? So I thought, I didn't know we have term
The
limits.
term limits were imposed by subsequent action of the council in trying to decide, okay, we have to form a committee, now what are we gonna do? They established a set of procedures, and so they had term limits with the idea being that they wanted fresh eyes every couple of, I think that they were allowed to have 2 terms. And then they wanted fresh eyes, so they didn't want to just have somebody sit on this particular committee for 20 years or something like that. Yeah, it's totally at your discretion if you want to change that, or if you want to, you know, however you want to handle that, but
Okay, so can we bring back then for discussion, Megan, what those procedures were that were set, and it's been a while.
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
What those procedures were, so the new council members can see that, and then we can go back and look at what is it that we want to retain and what is it that wants, that needs to be changed. Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you. So thank you so much. So then that will come back. So we'll move on then to our next item. And that is resolution number 6100, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Soledad amending the 2024 City Council meeting dates. And I'll turn this over to our city manager.
Yep. So real quick, we are proposing to be consistent with past practices of canceling the July 3rd meeting, which we typically have had quorum issues or have canceled the first meeting in July. It's consistent with a lot of jurisdictions throughout Monterey County, have a recess in either July or August. And it gives, you know, everyone a break, council and staff, because obviously preparing these agendas is quite a undertaking. So I'm proposing that we amend the 2024 calendar to cancel the July 3rd meeting. And then secondly, I know several of you have expressed interest in attending the California League of Cities Conference, which will be October 16th through the 18th, and conflict with our meeting date. So we're proposing to swap. I wish I could say we could cancel that meeting date, but we have so many things going on, so many business items seemingly at every meeting, that I'm thinking we should swap that to October 23rd. So that's what the proposed resolution change would take. And then one thing I will note, we will probably, when we bring back the calendar for 2025, if you're amenable to that, we would just continue that practice of canceling that first meeting in July, so we don't have to come back again in the future.
The first meeting.
In the first meeting in January, which is also the practice that we did do that this year, but.
Okay, well, thank you, Megan. So let me take it out to the public to see if there's any comments from the public in regards to resolution 6100. Okay, we have none here in the chambers. Any members of our public that are joining us via Zoom?
There are none.
Okay, see none, then I'll bring it back to the council to see if there's any questions. If not, I entertain a motion.
I do have a question. So, for October, how many of us can we go?
So I think I would say that if you all want to attend, we might have some ability after the budget is adopted to shift monies around. So if that's an interest of all of you, then this would enable that we would have a meeting, so it would enable you to attend. So just let Darlene know.
I do wanna go.
Once we know that, once the budget goes through, right?
Yeah.
Then we can move forward.
I do have a comment, actually. I am going to support this. I do want to mention or just say something for transparency and for the public that we do have a council meeting on June 19th this year, which is Juneteenth, and it is a day that we commemorate the ending of slavery. And although we're not able to move that meeting, I do hope that when we do bring back things in the future, I know it's not going to be on a Wednesday because it's on a Wednesday this year, right? But just in the future, years from now, maybe just to have that consideration of making that a day that we don't have a meeting to commemorate that.
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Salvo Sanchez for that comment. Councilwoman Benuelos, any comments? No. Yeah, no, thank you. And just for transparency, also for me, I will be attending the league, the annual conference. But just for the members of the public and for the council as well, I sit on the board of directors of the California League of Cities as my role as mayor, but I'm also on the Latino Caucus, which is the entity that appointed me to sit on the board of directors for the league. This will be my last year as well, because I know I participated for this past several years. So I'm excited to see the new council interested in the league, because they do have they provide us with a lot of information. The city does pay to be a member of the league. So I think it's important to be able to take advantage of those conferences and the networking, and then a lot of the ideas that come through that and how do we come back and really look at how we can implement those in the city. So just for transparency, I will be going, but portion of my travel, right, Darlene, is paid by the league.
Yeah,
Um,
that's all, your stay there is paid.
It's paid by the league, so the city saves some money on that.
We like
So
saving money.
we can allow for others to participate, which is important, so. Okay, so then I think you guys, so then we can cancel the meeting in July, and I think it's good because it's so close to the 4th of July. And then we will shift the meeting from October 16th to October 23rd. Correct? Okay, so
And I'll just note that I do have a meeting on October 23rd for another client, but oftentimes it gets bumped to the 5th Wednesday, which is the 30th that week. And if for some reason I don't get out of that meeting, I'll just make sure that there's coverage for that meeting on the 23rd.
okay, perfect. So do we have a motion?
I motion to adopt resolution.
Okay, so we
Number 6100.
6100, yeah.
Okay, I second. So we have a motion on the floor. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so motion carries. Great, thank you. Okay, thank you, council. So we will now move on to our next item on the agenda, which is our mayor announcements and reports. So I do have just a couple of announcements and reports to be able to provide. And so from after the meeting of the 15th, I think, because this is where we started reporting, I do have on the 16th, I do meet with the city manager with Megan just to go over some of the items on the agenda and other items of discussion. And then on May the 20th, we did have a LAFCO meeting, but I was unable to attend due to traveling to attend the California Transit Association Legislative Summit as part of my function as the chair of the Monterey Salinas Transit. So on the 21st, I attended the CTA Legislative Summit in Sacramento. And a lot of discussion was in regards to the budget, to the state budget right now and any of the impacts to the existing funding that was provided for transit. So there's a lot of advocacy, and obviously a lot of entities have a lot of anxiety in regards to the state budget deficit and how that's going to impact some of the programs that have been budgeted. So there was a lot of discussion in regards to that, a lot of information also on meeting the state goals in terms of transition to zero emissions for a lot of the public transit entities, and some of the challenges that have come with the infrastructure process. And then on the May 22nd, I attended the special Lead Me Home leadership meeting. This is as part of the role that I sit in as your mayor. There was 2 items on the agenda, which was a HAP 4 revised funding recommendations and the governance draft of the California 506 allocation policy. So it was the first reading. The board approved the recommendations to round 4 and then approved the first reading of the policy to make sure that San Benito received 50% of future HAP funding allocation. So there's been also discussions on some of the proposed governor's budget to reduce the 6th cycle of the HAP funding as well. And on the 23rd, we had a special city council meeting for the council appointment, and congratulations to our newly elected councilwoman Eva Banuelos for that, and all of the other candidates that came before us that were really great candidates, and it was a tough decision, but we're excited to have Councilwoman Banuelos with us. And then on the 24th, I attended the Gavilan Elementary School Career Day. So I just want to say thank you to Ms. Nunes and Mr. Garcia, 6th grade class, for allowing me to come in and present to them on what it is that I do as a mayor. So there was a lot of great questions and how much money I get. And then on the 27th, I attended the Memorial Day celebration at Soledad Cemetery. So thank you to American Legion Soledad Post 32 for always making sure that we have this event to celebrate and remember our veterans and their families that died during the different wars that we've had. And then on the 29th, I attended the 2nd annual Youth Job Fair with Monterey County Workforce Development Board. So I just want to say thank you to Michael Artalejo, who helped to provide this. This is our second annual. And the outcomes, just to share with the council and the public, and I know he will be able to do a more broader presentation. There was 18 employee and / organizations that participated, over 69 job seekers signed in. There were probably more attendees, but they did, some of the people signed in, some may not have signed in. But for the Monterey County Workforce Development Board, they had 4 people that applied for their next Green Cadre program, which is pretty amazing. And 3 referrals that came from the information about the work experience programs with the partners at the roundtable. So, this was an effort to make sure that our students have our youth have summer employment internships. So thank you to them for helping with that. And then on the 3rd, like many of us, we attended the CIP study session to review the 5-year budget plan for the CIPs. Today, we met with Supervisor Lopez and the South County mayors and city managers, and Megan was part of that, talking about, I think the main theme was they discussed the county budget facing the deficit. And the county is considering moving forward with 2 revenue measures. So they are still getting information, but it would be a sales tax measure and a hotel tax. And this will be presented at their meeting of June 20th. So if any of the council can tune in. There was concerns about impacts to the city. We were confirmed that there was no impacts to the city, as only this would be an unincorporated county, correct? Oh yeah, so no concerns. And then there was also discussion about other cities that were also going to put tax measures on the November ballot, concerned that some of our voters may have voting fatigue, or would probably, if they see too many sales tax or too many measures on the ballot, would just kind of say no to everything, right? Because people obviously don't want to be taxed, but there was a lengthy conversation in terms of the ballot and some of the cities, and obviously the need for the county to be able to raise more fund. One of the surveys that they did implement, Supervisor Lopez did mention that a lot of what the surveys came back with, that people want infrastructure improvements, and especially in a lot of our areas in southern Monterey County. And so they're looking at if that's a possibility to be able to utilize that tax for that. And I think that was it. I know he did say that there was a festival that may be coming back. Can I share that or not?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, to the lakes. I just don't know which lake, but it was as a result of it happening in San Luis Obispo, but it wasn't gonna happen anymore. And so, is it the lightning in the bottle?
Yeah.
Okay, so, but it may come back. I guess I have never been to it, but I think in terms of generating more tourism and revenue for the county, I think it's, it's a good thing as long as, everybody's safe. And I'm sure they have a lot of these mechanisms to make sure that it's safe. So just highlights and my highlights for today. There's a lot of things that were happening today as we were in city council meetings. So, we did have the Ag Socio Health Resources Fair, and this is for incoming H-2A workers, our guest workers that are returning to our valley, to be able to ensure that the rest of the world has the food that they need. But this is, I think, the third or fourth year that they've invited the city to be a partner, to be able to share who we are with our guest workers and make sure that they're safe also while they're here in our city, and that they have the resources they need. And then 6 Main Street Middle School had their 8th grade graduation. So congrats to the students and our youth. Congrats to Councilmember Cabrera and his family and his son for his graduation. So I know that was a reason why he was here a few minutes late, but thank you so much for spending time with us, while your son graduated and you guys were celebrating as a family. And then we also had the gold standard landlord meeting that was held, or training workshop that was held here in Soledad, and this is a partnership with Housing Resource Center. So there's a lot of things that were happening, as well as the listening session with Supervisor Lopez that I know I didn't attend, but some of my colleagues did. So a lot happening in Soledad, so just wanted to make sure I highlighted some of those things that were happening while we were also meeting in our council. So thank you. And with that, I'll turn it over to Councilmember Ansaldo Sanchez for his report.
Thank you. So I don't remember the exact date, but I attended these Salinas Valley Solid Waste Authority board meeting. San Vicente Elementary School is given a $350 grant to implement a student-led green team to teach students about waste management, like recycling and composting. And there was a lot of students, I'm like gonna get a little emotional, a lot of students from like elementary school from Salinas that were there and talking, and they're like second and third grade. It was really cute, and I was like very emotional sitting there. I used to be a substitute teacher for the Salinas Union School District for 2 years. And then I also attended the Memorial Day event that we had, and I just wanted to really quickly remember my friend who was unfortunately killed while on duty, Tiffany Curley. We will remember you always. And then today I did attend the listening session for Supervisor Lopez for a little bit, because we had our council meeting at the same time. So I was there for about the first 20 minutes, and he spoke about the housing element, and that although not everyone made it to like the low income housing that needed to happen, the city of Greenfield actually did. So kudos to the city of Greenfield. He also mentioned about the possibility of having a festival. I don't think it's lightning in a bottle. I think it's going to be a different festival.
Oh, okay.
But it's lesser, so it'll be a really good opportunity for businesses around the area. And I think I had one more item that he talked about, maybe not. I did mention just our interest in moving forward with having more walking trails, and then he did mention, I think, about something that we talked about on Monday about possibly having something a little bit outside of the city limits. I don't really remember what the area is called, so I don't want to say something wrong, but yeah.
Thank you. Councilmember Cabrera?
Yeah, seeking sleep. Where do we start? Well, on the 22nd, I went to the meeting of TAMSI meeting, 3:00, 9 in the morning. There were a lot of things that we talked about. It were mainly one situation that is happening along the 68. The traffic is going into the community that is there, so they're looking at maybe closing some streets because they take that street to run on the other exit, and it's creating a lot of chaos right there. On the 22nd, on the 26th, I attended a Memorial Day because my wife is part of the what is it, American Legion. Then I am always in charge of doing something there. But it's when I saw those a couple of people with their banners, and I saw them there is their damage, and I asked them to come and express or contact somebody in the league so they can be more informed about what decisions we're going to take in that matter. On the 31st, I attended first the end of the season for a little league in Soledad. It was amazing to see those little kids. One thing that I remember is that when I was their age, I used to play with a stick and a plastic ball because we didn't have any other kind of equipment, and it was a happy and sad moment for me because I had a friend that used to pitch. He was a pitcher since he was very little, and at the age of 10, I think it was 10 or 11, he died of cancer. But he was an amazing pitcher. He used to throw a mean straight ball and at least four curves at that age. And the last time that we played, he was throwing in balls with that right limit. So if you ever play baseball, you know how hard it is to curve the ball but when you throw with a dry lemon, it's even harder to curve it. So it was an amazing person. Then after that, I had to leave a bit before it ended because I had a meeting with well, it's a workshop with an association called COPA. I was there for about an hour or so. Then on, let me see, what day? On the third, I also attended a CIP workshop that we had here. And today I was in that ceremony in they don't call it graduation, they call it promotion. So my son was promoted to high school. Yes. It was very emotional because at first when I ran for this position, I thought that he was not gonna be happy. But then I saw that he's actually he likes the attention. So when I asked him, we were planning to go on a dinner to his favorite restaurant, and I said, look, there's a situation in which I might be required to go to the meeting. And I explained it. I explained to him why I wanted to come. And at first he made a face, but then he understood that there is part of my responsibilities. And he said to congratulate you for
Thank you.
for being.
Am I on?
Before he said that, he said, go ahead, she's more important. But he understands the situation and he's for me is 366 little kids are moving into high school. And this generation have four, what they call it, valedictorian. Four draws match 4.57, I think it was that. Four of them. That tells you how much potential we have in this town. And I want to thank everyone in that school and all of our schools, because I know a lot of that, their teachers take a little bit more time to inspire those guys. And I always say somebody can force you to do things, somebody can challenge you to do things, but that person who inspires you to do something has a more impact, not only in your life, but in the lives of those around you. So thank you so much for that. And that's it.
Thank you. And thank you and congratulations to your son. So, Councilwoman, Banuelos.
I did attend, I did miss the closing ceremonies for, Soledad Little League, but I did attend their Tournament of Champions. The Soledad Little League was hosting Tournament of Champions on Saturday, and then they hosted yesterday, Tournament of Champions in Little League. And I just want to just applaud just the board itself, you know, just stepping it up. And I know because I've been involved for many years, and I just wanted to give kudos to even the parents and the coaches as well. And it was just exciting to be there and watching these kids, especially, you know, us hosting because Greenfield and Hollister were playing. And it was just great just to kind of have engagement with the Hollister, you know, parents, and then of course the Soledad parents. And I just kind of got the mic and said, thank you, you know, and shared stuff what was happening in Soledad. So it was very, very, it was very windy, but it's okay. But it was just, I was just honored just to be there. And of course, they just say, oh, it's Eva, but that's okay. You know, I'm there to support, you know, the Little League because I know how tough it is and I know the challenges. I did attend on the 30th, the mental, what was it called? The DWMC, discussion for mental health, and that was very insightful. It was an invite, and thank you to Monica for that invite. It was a lot of input, a lot of resources for mental health, what some of us may be struggling, or we may know someone, and just the outreach and the resources that are available. I did also attend the Memorial Day service. And it's every year that I always attend. It's just always growing every year. And I do encourage the veterans that are moving here in Soledad to get involved with, our American Legion, because it's growing. And our veterans that have been here every year, they want to see new veterans as well to be involved. I also did attend Monday the CIP budget meeting, and it was very new to me, and I just received everything and just listened, and and just everything that goes behind the scenes, Mike and Dawn. I mean, I appreciate what you guys do. It's just like mind blowing. So I appreciate what you guys do, and I don't know how you guys do it, but you do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So we'll move on then to our next item, which is council member praises. And I'll begin with Councilmember Cabrera.
I only have one, and that's from my son. I want to praise him for all his work, and I know that just 3-4 more homeworks that he had to do. I know his potential, and I know that as well as other people here in Soledad, the only thing that they need is a little bit of inspiration. We have tremendous talent, and I hope that for next year we'll not only have 4, but 10. Can you imagine 10 valedictorians?
Yeah,
Good luck for them and good luck for my son.
that's amazing. Yeah, thank you. Councilmember Gonzalo Sanchez.
Yes, I have two. I want to just again praise the city council and then the city staff present on Monday for our Pride Flag raising ceremony. So thank you for you all for participating. Thank you, Megan, for participating, and Jesus for participating, and the Soledad Police Department for participating and helping us raising the flag along with the rest of the community. And then my next council member praise goes to actually my sister. She will be graduating on a Saturday from high school, and she will be attending Sacramento State for a degree in business marketing. And I want to bring this up also because it was actually thanks to the city of Soledad that she chose that major, because she was part of the internship program last year for community engagement, and she really enjoyed creating flyers and like speaking to new people. And she's very shyer than I am, and she just really enjoyed it, and it really kind of got her thinking about wanting to do something like that for her career. So yeah.
Very good. Nice. That's good. Congratulations to her. Councilwoman Benelis.
Just praise report just praises for all of us that are here still. And, and also just traveling grace when we all get home, and praises for everyone who came here to support me and being sworn in. And I just want to say thank you, Mayor Anna, for doing that, and appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you and welcome. So I just have a few too, like the Little League, I missed their closing ceremonies. And so thank you for those that attended, Councilmember Cabrera. So I know they've been doing such a phenomenal job, and they just restructured, and my kids were in Little League and I so miss that. But I know that they do a lot. And so to the coaches, to the parents, to the city that supported, to the board, thank you so much for just an amazing season, and we look forward to the next season. And also, I miss the graduation today for middle school, but I am a Trojan. I did go to Main Street Middle School, so they say once a Trojan, always a Trojan. And so to the 366 students, their parents, and all of the extended family, the teachers, congratulations, because they are our future, and being able to see the caliber of our students and having the increased valedictorians is pretty amazing to hear. So apologize for not being there, but I join you in spirit. And so congratulations to them. And also I know that the high school will be graduating this Saturday as well. So congratulations to all of the graduates, all the teachers as well, and the school board members and everyone that really contributes to their success. But I just, I'll do a special one and a personal one. I never do, but my son Gabriel graduated from high school last Sunday, and so he is off now to to San Jose State to major in business, so just want to say thank you to my son, so proud of him.
Spartan.
Okay, so with that, we will move on to the city manager report.
Thank you. I just have to laugh because I was a Spartan, my daughter is a Trojan, so. Anyhow, I did want to let council know, as I've indicated in my reports, that I'll be on vacation from tomorrow and I'll be returning on June 18th. I do apologize, I didn't get to my weekly report. I think this is the first one I've missed in a long time, but I didn't give you last Friday's weekly report, so I'll give you a catch up when I come back from vacation, so apologies for that. I wanted to let you know that while I'm on vacation, and I will actually text you each my personal cell phone because I'm doing international travel. You're welcome to text me. I don't know what the phone service will be, but I didn't want the city get charged international rates, but my husband is getting us a plan for our personal phone, so I'll text you tonight my personal phone in case anything goes wrong, but please reach out to Chief Wasson, who, you know, will be able to handle things, so will Darlene, and while I'm absent, there'll be two kind of key people who could give you some updates once the staff reports are in for the 19th, which is Mike Rodriguez. You could reach out to him if you had questions on most of the items except anything financial, including the budget. You can reach out to Mike Howard. So just wanted to let you know about that. So I suspect that most of the questions will be about the budget, so Mike Howard will be your person to reach out to. And speaking of budget, there'll be a study session on June 12th for the budget. I will not be here, but everyone else will. So there'll be department heads if you have questions. We have kept a disciplined budget, I would say. I think we've talked a little bit at the CIP. We don't have as much flexibility as we would like, and I applaud the departments who were restrained in their requests, and those that might have been less restrained, Mike and I told them to be restrained, so we did have to carve a few things out of the budget in order to be balanced, but anyhow, we will present a balanced budget. In terms of the wastewater facility, I'll have Darlene reach out to each of you to determine your availability. Public Works is really anxious, and Veronica, she'll work with Veronica. Their Public Works is really anxious to give you tours of that facility. It is a very impressive operation. We are so lucky because we are the only South County city that has something of this scale, and actually I've been hearing that South County has been limited by the lack of having this facility, and we have capacity. So we're very fortunate about that. And Dawn kind of alluded to the fact that what we paid for our facility is at least half of what King City is looking at having to pay for to get there. So, and then lastly, I'm gonna have Darlene work to get you guys new chairs. So we may send you some options for feedback over the next few weeks, but we will replace these chairs. I know they're not the most comfortable, and they're also a little bit hazardous. And lastly, I just want to let our newest council member know, Manuelos, that there is a lip and you are very close to the edge, so be extra cautious. We have a little, lip there. But anyhow, you're in the seat that is the hazard. Yeah. Anyhow, thank you.
Can I take my share?
Thank you, Megan, for that. So, okay, so let's move on to thank you and we wish you well, get some rest on your vacation and, you know, have fun and, what did they say, like, just de-stress and detach, right? Okay, so future agenda items, council, I'll just leave this open. Anyone have future agenda items? I know we've had a lot of agenda items, so I don't know if there's any critical, and I think this is where I just want to remind the council in terms of being mindful because we have a lot already happening. So any critical agenda items that you guys want to put on the calendar for the future?
No, I don't have any.
No, and I know just as a reiteration, and it was in the meeting minutes, in terms of the flag policy for the pride flag to be able to come back for approval for that to be included as part of the annual. So I think that was the only thing that I saw in the minutes from the last time.
Yes, we are gonna bring that back, and there was also a request to consider putting the POW flag up for a month in the month of September, given that that's kind of the proclamation month. So we'll probably bring those both together. If that's acceptable. And then I did want to mention the council compensation. We anticipate bringing that back in July, on the July 17th meeting.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so we'll be having a conversation about that. My only thing, Megan, and being mindful, we have a bunch of agenda items, just an update. I know we had talked about the last meeting regarding Orchard Park, what we're gonna do with all the semi trucks there. I know we're rerouting, but I don't know if there's a possibility. I know as we're talking about the safe streets and how we're gonna, you know, reduce impact, allow for more pedestrian walkways and whatnot. I mean, that's really congested. And if you're there on the evenings and the weekends, I mean, it's just not, I mean, it just seems like every truck wants to park there now. So if we can get, I don't know if we have no parking signs for these kind of commercial vehicles that are not supposed to be in our streets. I think we do have, I think there is a code already, Mike. I think I had sent that information. So if we can address that because it's not getting any better. It's just continuous to get worse. The more trucks parked there.
Yeah, and what I can do is we can put that on a presentation for the August 7th agenda. I think the timing will be good because we have the truck route that is going to be coming back on June 19th, and that gives enough time to see how that helps with enforcement. And then they can give a report, and hopefully we can see some enforcement that has happened and they can report on that.
Okay, but they're not supposed to be parking there, right? I guess that's just kind of for me, the update in terms of what's our policy about the parking, the current parking. I know we're doing the routing, but is that current, that street, should they not be parking there?
I've been told that some of those streets, it's a little unclear because
There is no sign.
yeah, because until we have something established, it's pretty hard to enforce. But we can come back on August 7th and have a report out on that. And I think as we're adopting and hopefully on June 19th, that would really clarify everything because we can establish those street routes.
Mother Chair, there is something that says, I'm not sure what is the code, but there is something that says that you cannot park for a number of days there in one street or in one position. And I think that that's what they're using. They park there, they leave it a couple of days, and before they say something or they get cited, they go to the other street.
Yeah.
And that's what is being happening. That's my regular route, and
Yeah.
I see it all the time.
Yeah.
It's a game, and I think I think between the change with the truck routes and we'll have code enforcement come on the 7th, because I know that this has been a big issue and can talk what they've done and you know, what they can do. And maybe even seek direction if there's additional changes we have to make in order to give them more more tools to enforce.
The other thing is that, I see a couple of people that own their trucks and they go and park it there and then they go home. And they don't live in the area, but that is a safe place to park it. And we have to enforce something because they wanna bring that thing to this side.
And I've taken the photos because during the weekend, like on the Saturdays and Sundays, it's just like,
It's
completely full.
Yeah.
It's like one company.
It's,
Yeah, I've seen it when I've been here over the weekend, so I know what you mean.
yeah.
What location we can
It's on Orchard.
It's between
Oh, no,
Orchard
Gavilan,
from
Gavilan.
Orchard and Alcia. Between the. schools.
Yeah, and so I saw the parking regulations, which is on our ordinance 10.04.050. It's not very clear, but on E, it does talk about commercial vehicles. May be parked at any street at any area zoned for industrial commercial use. Provided that the city council may by resolution enact regulations establishing time limitation on such parking. But they can't park on residential streets, right? So.
They shouldn't be, but I don't know. Gavilan is, I think, an arterial. And so we have to check with what the streets are, but certainly like if someone's in the local streets, which are the residential streets, then that's a little bit, clearer.
Okay, so we'll come back with that. I just want to make sure we don't forget about it.
Yeah,
So
I'll put it on for the 17th of August, or 17th. I'm sorry, that's my sister's birthday, August 7th.
Okay, so with that, then, if there is no further item of business, we adjourn this meeting.